I was a person that was enthusiastic that I wanted to speak out, and that was a vehicle. So
Hey everybody, Kriss here. We're going to be watching live. Yes, we're going to be live for Donald Trump's speech at the Bitcoin conference. So grab a chair, grab some popcorn, have a drink, cheers. And I'm going to drop down here in the corner. They're talking to Ron Paul right now.
Than I ever
believed.
Donald
Trump comes on. It's supposed to be in the next 5 minutes. We'll see.
Some people would interpret.
So yeah, cheers to you, Wei. How are you?
I really try to.
Can you
avoid
hear
if anybody wants to talk about
what's
freedom,
being said? Okay.
And I can have.
Please let me know.
That I'm interested.
Well, we're here with Dr. Ron Paul. We're going to send it over to the main stage. Of course, his legacy lives on. And the conversations here at Bitcoin 2024 in Nashville, Tennessee, minutes away from Donald J. Trump, 45th President of the United States, taking the stage. We'll be right back with fast reactions.
Sure, pork chop. Can you hear the audio okay?
Dr. Paul, thank you so much
Please
for
let me
joining
know.
us. And another round of applause from everyone. Really great.
Good to see everybody. I don't need these.
Dollar will dramatically lose its purchasing power. The more they print, the more it gets diluted.
Thank you.
Who it's good for is the people at the tippy top.
Because in order to keep the system going, they have to keep printing money.
I've got the Bitcoin chart up here.
That tool.
Bitcoin did go on a run this morning.
Bitcoin is powerful.
Came up to 69.4.
That does not discriminate.
And
Bitcoin
right before,
by the people, for the people.
Right before the Donald talks, we do have a little downward movement happening, but we can always switch over, which I will do during the speech, and we'll be able to see what's happening with Doge right now at 13.25. Doge went on a big run this morning as well, came up and hit 13.8 and just hit my downward sloping resistance line. Hit it exactly right there this morning before coming back down. Are we going to see a spike in the prices? Is that going to happen during the speech? That's what we're here for. That's what you're here to watch.
Hello.
Thanks for stopping in.
Hello. How are we feeling? Nashville, how are we feeling?
This could be big.
I can't hear you.
I thought it was worth just sharing this afternoon with all of you.
We are moments away from seeing President Donald J. Trump, but before then, we have a quick announcement. I would like to tell you all, first of all, from the bottom of our team's hearts at the BTC Inc., the Bitcoin Conference, and Bitcoin Magazine, thank you. Thank you for coming to witness this historic moment. Thank you for coming to celebrate.
I'll be keeping
Bitcoin.
it real here.
We are so excited to have you here, and we're so excited to have you next year. We want to give you a quick video. Let's roll it. Big announcement.
Big announcement. Oh boy.
Next year, we are bringing the Bitcoin conference to the American West.
Oh.
Las Vegas.
Next year's Bitcoin conference is going to be in Las Vegas.
The brightest minds in the world.
In the middle of summer when it's 115 degrees. Awesome.
Buy your tickets now.
They had that little clip in there of the, oh, it's going to be in May, a little bit sooner.
But we cannot wait to see you in Las Vegas.
Sphere.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor to introduce CEO of BTC Inc., the man, the myth, the legend, David Bailey.
David,
please come on out.
Take the stage. Thanks, Darth. Appreciate it.
Hello. Wow. Wow.
Well, not replace the dollar.
We've come a long way.
Strategic reserve. Those are going to be the key words.
Are y'all having fun?
Because he'll never say
as Dr. Paul
Bitcoin
said,
is going to replace the dollar. He believes in the almighty dollar.
It's an idea whose time has come.
Bitcoin can do that.
Bitcoin is an idea whose time has come. So I want to thank the leadership of Donald Trump for coming out, supporting us, supporting our cause. And I also want to give him a special thanks. I'd like all of you to give him a special thanks for committing to commute Ross Ulbricht's sentence on day one of his administration.
Sure, Olaf, welcome.
This crowd is insane. Let's go. You know, I remember the first Bitcoin conference I went to. There was, I don't know, 800 people there. I think there's 8,000 people in this room.
Welcome, Joseph.
You know, this is a special moment in time. You can feel the energy here.
Seen a little dip here. Look at this.
10 U.S.
Look at
senators
Bitcoin
here.
getting dropped by the market
presidential
makers right
candidates
now.
Here. Bitcoin is the future of this country. And it's not a red party thing, and it's not a blue party thing. It's an orange party thing. So with that, I want to show y'all something. You know, who better than the man himself, Donald J. Trump, to lead the Orange Party? But we also wanted to give him a little gift from the Bitcoin community. So I'm holding in my hand a Cassasius coin from 2013. Okay, there's one Bitcoin on here. A Bitcoin OG flew halfway around the world to come and deliver this for the president. So on behalf of the
Jasmine's doing
entire
great.
Bitcoin community, I want to give Donald Trump a Bitcoin.
Holding
not a
well over
custodial
3 cents.
Bitcoin. And I want
For
us
those
to
that got into
officially
Jasmine,
greet
awesome.
him as a Bitcoiner. So with that, I don't know if he's ready yet. We're going to be joined by the 45th and hopefully 47th President of the United States.
Is he ready?
All right.
Not ready yet. Not ready yet.
Not ready yet.
It's not me. I'm not the president of the United States. Maybe someday. Ladies and gentlemen, we are so excited. We are just waiting for everything to be ready. Give us a little time. We're going to play some music. We'll be right back. Any minute now. Don't worry.
It's got to get the hair just right. It's got to get the hair just right. Look at that dump, though, that the market makers just did. They dumped Bitcoin to 68.1. We'll see if they can dump it any more. But we did have some long liquidations happening on ETH. Wow, big ones on ETH. 3 million, 3 million. Oh, wow, big ones on ETH. Got to look at the liquidations. These right here. There we go. Look at these. 3 million, 3 million, 2 million, 1 million. Huge ETH liquidations. Crazy. I don't know why the sound isn't on for these guys. He's trading on his phone. That's good.
Bitcoin in a strategic reserve? Is this what you're expecting Donald Trump to announce today?
I think it's important to set your expectations properly, but also
Bitcoin
I
not
think
pumping
most
yet,
people
low
are greatly
roller.
underappreciating
Welcome
what's
though.
about to happen
Thanks for
next.
joining.
I think this is is going to be a momentous
XRP's not doing
occasion,
anything.
for humanity, not just Bitcoin. And people look back
Struggling
in history and be like, this was the
to
moment
stay
that
over
nation
60
state FOMO
cents.
really began.
And you've been here
As
for
XRP
historic moments.
just
Bitcoin
dumped a bit more.
2021, obviously El Salvador adopting a Bitcoin standard. Take us into that moment and how it might compare to what we're about to see.
You think this is Saturday
it's
Night Live
absolutely
all over again?
Insane when you look back on it that we were.
That's what we're here
excited about
for.
President Bukele of El Salvador, a country of 6 million people, adopting Bitcoin.
Yeah, let's
just
go.
3 years ago, and today we have the former president of the United States, the likely future president of the United States.
As I said in my
who
live stream yesterday,
seems
I didn't
incredibly
think he was
optimistic
going to
about
start
Bitcoin
on
and
time.
understands that Bitcoin is American at its core, and it can fuel the next great century of American success.
Well, of course, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., independent candidate, speaking yesterday, setting a high bar for the former president. I'll read some of his proposed executive orders. I will direct the U.S. Treasury to purchase 550 Bitcoin daily, more than the circulating supply, until the U.S. has built a strategic reserve of 4 million Bitcoin. His proposal, transfer 200,000 Bitcoin held by the U.S. government to the U.S. Treasury, and signing an executive order to remove some of the IRS restrictions on the spending of Bitcoin. When you think about how this could be topped,
this conference is all about Bitcoin.
From Donald J. Trump, does he take these?
Not going to say Doge, but we'll watch the Doge price too. And see what happens.
It's important that there is a lot of respect here for presidential candidate RFK, but it is different when it comes from the likely presidential candidate. Likely president of the United States, next president of the United States. So I think it's important to take that into context. I also think it's important to realize that every individual, every company, every government, their goal long-term will be to accumulate as much Bitcoin as possible. The question is, when do they realize that?
Bobby Kennedy Jr. has no chance of winning.
Better you do under a Bitcoin standard.
You know, when you're running for president as an independent,
here, what are they expecting
you
from
act
Donald
like you
J.
can
Trump?
win.
Today, how are they looking at this moment? Has this made your career, your Bitcoin interest more real to them?
I mean, to me, Bitcoin is more than a career. You know, it's a lifestyle. But this, I am proud to say that this is my parents' first Bitcoin conference.
Wow,
which is pretty crazy. You know,
11 years.
Yeah, being in the space for over a decade. This is their first one, but I mean, could you pick a better one for it to be their first?
It's a big introduction. And of course, election 2024 coming to Bitcoin 2024. We're talking right now about the expectations for Donald J. Trump about to go live on stage. Obviously, this is unprecedented.
When's the last time the third party won?
Waiting for the president to arrive. Maybe some last minute
1800s, maybe.
But still, the expectations are high, I think, for
maybe the 1800s
Bitcoin reserve. We keep hearing this phrase. What do we think about this idea, and why are Bitcoiners excited about the U.S.
Swixter? It's RFK
yeah, I mean, I
Jr.
think it's particularly important when
Robert
we reflect
F.
on
Kennedy.
RFK's speech that is the likely expectation, is a strategic Bitcoin reserve. I think that makes complete sense for America. Like, we want to accumulate.
Will there be a Trump pump? That's what we're here to watch.
I think that's better for the country. I think it's better for American citizens. I will say that cap gains piece is unlikely to be announced here. I do not expect that. That would be amazing.
Insider information.
This is not insider information. I would just say that would be way too amazing, because the tax treatment of Bitcoin in America is borderline predatory, and I think it would be better for this country if we remove that treatment.
Well, we're waiting for Donald
Agreed.
J. Trump, the 45th president of the United States, to take the stage. I want to read through some of his quotes.
We should not be taxed.
His introduction to Bitcoin, his first remarks, quote, "Bitcoin just seems like a scam. I don't like it because it's competing against the dollar. I want the dollar to be the currency of the world." The reversal, obviously the positivity now. What are your thoughts thinking back about some of these statements, given what we're about to see, Matt?
It's just amazing how much can change in 6 months. You know, and I just think it's important for everyone to just stay humble out there and realize the world can change faster than you expect it to. But it is
Checking
it is
on
just
Doge.
amazing. It is amazing to witness and be a part of.
Yeah,
and,
Doge
I'm just
dropping
really excited
too.
to hear what the president
Just
says.
dropped down to
certainly
the
some people
200
expecting
EMA
hard
down here at
policy, maybe
13.
Donald Trump laying out a vision for America and Bitcoin. I'll go
13.10,
through some of his
right
other
on the
statements.
200 EMA
And the
there.
reversal really beginning in May of this year, right? We saw there was a private fundraiser. He said that Biden is against it. Biden doesn't even know what it is. He has no idea. Gensler is against it. The Democrats are against it. I'm fine with it. If you like crypto, you better vote for Trump. What was your thoughts when you heard
zero
that,
tax on
just
crypto would
months
be
ago,
awesome.
that Donald Trump had reversed his ideas about Bitcoin?
I was cautiously
I'm
optimistic.
not
and very
expecting that,
skeptical,
though.
and I feel like today changes that, but we'll see.
And we've seen some policy advances. Trump saying, I will ensure the future of Bitcoin will be made in the USA. Of course, that's already one of his promises. I will support the right to self-custody. I will keep Elizabeth Warren and her goons away from Bitcoin, and
Yes.
will never allow the creation of a CBDC. Taken as a whole, from the policy we know of Trump, what are your thoughts about his core proposals so far?
Look, I think it's important to properly set expectations. I think the fact that he's here alone is a massive validation of everything we've been working on for so many years, that thousands of people around the world, hundreds of thousands of people around the world have been building out this protocol. I've been building out the tools that make all of this possible. And just to have him here today to discuss Bitcoin with us is absolutely monumental. Everything else,
That's a $66,000, $68,000 gift
Expecting
that he
history,
got.
expecting
Yes.
updates on the main stage, looking at a rapt audience of people who are waiting to see Donald J. Trump make history here on the Nakamoto stage at Bitcoin 2024. We've got some theme music coming out there, maybe some optimism that he's about to take the stage. We're going to send it to a quick commercial break. We'll be coming back. We'll be watching history together. Stay tuned.
1770?
X, YouTube, and Rumble.
Is that
We
what the
are
third
minutes
party
away
was?
from history at the Bitcoin conference in Nashville, Tennessee. Stay with us.
Since USA wasn't a country until 1776, maybe a little soon. Oh, I get what you're saying. Right. I've never traded with leverage, so nope. Not doing it. No tax on profit after 1 year of holding would make sense. I think the German tax law it's certainly much better than USA. Like, keep the short-term trading at a minimum, right? Hold longer. What's happening with Doge? Yeah, I mean, it already dipped down to 1310. That's the lowest so far that just happened. Seems to be recovering a bit right now. And Bitcoin touched 68.1, now up to 68.2. So we'll be watching those, flipping back and forth. Got to keep an eye on Doge and what Doge is doing. It is all about Bitcoin, but it'll be interesting. Is Donald Trump going to say more than just supporting the mining, want all Bitcoin mining to be done in the United States? Will he talk about strategic reserve and Bitcoin's use backing up the US dollar?
Only 21 million, so no one
Maybe
can decide to just
something
print
more.
because no central
I mean, if he
authority
talks
holds
for
it, it
50
can never
minutes,
be shut down. And unlike
what's he going to
banks
fill
and
all that
credit card
time
companies,
with?
you don't
Yeah,
need
he'll
to
go
use it.
blah,
It
blah,
puts the
blah,
power back in all our
quite a
hands.
bit.
Bitcoin lets you control your finances. Kraken lets you buy Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Kraken, see what crypto can be.
Welcome back to the Mara News that's powered by Bitcoin Magazine. I'm Pete Rizzo, editor of Bitcoin Magazine. We are minutes away from the main event at Bitcoin
Fight,
2024
yeah.
in Nashville, Tennessee. People are lined
For crypto.
up around the
Fight,
venue
fight,
to see
fight for
Donald
crypto.
J. Trump, and we've got some news to break on the desk right now. We've been told that a special guest is on his or her way to the venue. We don't know, and that's the source of this delay. And again, waiting for Donald J. Trump,
Welcome.
former president, to take the stage. With me, a packed panel to keep your attention wrapped as we wait. We've got Matt Odell, founder of 1031 Ventures, longtime Bitcoin advocate, and Christian Carolus of the Human Rights Foundation. Guys, what are you feeling right now? History might be made. It's
the
delayed.
dip
Christian,
before the
you're on
rip.
stage.
Oh man, the
The
anticipation
dip before
is
the rip.
real. The anxiety and energy is in the
Maybe.
air. I don't really know what to think, but
We want to
I
stay
can't
away
think of
from
someone
the,
delaying Donald Trump other than
buy the rumor,
huge
sell the
guest.
news.
Huge guest.
Yeah, special guest. I'm not sure we can say more, but maybe potential history and maybe the internet will be broken if we can call back to that.
Elon
Obviously,
was
we're
in
talking about
France.
what policy proposals we might see from Trump. We've covered RFK's bold initiative yesterday. CK, maybe we can cut in there and just get your perspective. What can Donald Trump say on the stage to get Bitcoiners excited out in the polls in November?
Well, you know what? We talked about this earlier. Freeing Ross is an imperative. Second is protecting Bitcoin privacy, and a strategic reserve would be a very, very nice campaign promise. Going back to RFK, he pretty much gave Bitcoiners everything they could have asked for in terms of campaign promises. No one is bullish enough on these massive campaign promises for Bitcoiners. And I think one that went a little underreported, but is
wow, look at Doge.
Of removing capital gains
it
tax
just
from Bitcoin transactions
spiked up to 13.8,
hampering Bitcoin's use as day-to-day currency, and
right back down
because Bitcoin stacks both extremely well as a store of value as well as a medium of exchange. It's just that the current regulatory environment is very, very prohibitive of doing that.
We've been reading through some of President Trump's past statements, going all the way to his 2019 rejection of Bitcoin.
We got to watch Doge for a little bit.
I want to highlight some of the remarks from July that have maybe flown under the radar, maybe taking us into a window of what he might be saying on stage, what he's thinking about how Bitcoin intersects.
We'll be watching Jasmine, Gene.
I don't want to be responsible for another country taking over this industry, calling his engagement with the industry, quote, eye-opening, and of course, the two quotes that got the most play on Bloomberg that day.
So this pump right there was on
Matt,
the thought that Elon is going to show up.
Bitcoin is persisting, it's winning, and that the U.S. must react, in fact, to Bitcoin's rise around the world.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's simply adapt or die. I mean, I think the game theory of Bitcoin plays out that every person, every company,
if Elon shows up. Yeah, he was in Paris. I just saw all the stuff on X about him in Paris.
Adoption cycle happens,
but I don't know how long ago that was.
The purchasing power starts to evaporate if you don't adopt it sooner rather than later.
Christian, your thoughts on some of
this? I don't follow the
Obviously,
Trump and MAGA
Rights Foundation, an organization with a global context.
Tokens.
This idea that Bitcoin is on the world stage, that it's competing or maybe
the Doge BTC pair. So Doge did get back to 0002.
Well, no, I think that this is extremely important. The reality
see where we are
is
right now. We're at 19.6, 19.7 right now. This blue line is 0002, and that's my baseline.
We're seeing
so
that
Doge
the
is just a
Biden
little bit
administration and the
below
Department
that.
of Justice had made
That's
a
on the
very
Doge
negative
BTC
stand
pair.
towards financial privacy within Bitcoin.
Jasmine,
does not think that
just around 13.2. I mean, 0.32, 3.2 cents.
Activists and freedom fighters need financial privacy to protect themselves.
Nothing else really moving.
That we supposedly oppose here in the U.S. So
Stacks is moving up, $1.92,
and know that this affects the entire planet.
So
and
Stacks
if we can
is
make
moving.
a positive turnaround here in the U.S., we are
it looks
hopeful
like
that we can
Caspa
change
is moving.
policies around the entire globe.
Matt,
I mean, off of what CK said, I really want to
Up to
highlight here
19.
that as an American myself and as a Bitcoiner, I've worked with many developers.
But this is the move right here is Doge. Look at this.
And their main concern right now is legal liability over writing open source code. I think America stands to gain substantially if America is a place.
Hey, Joseph, I don't know what plane he'd be on. We could track it if we knew what plane he was on.
That is open source. That is not in their control, and that they do not have legal liability for that.
It's Bitcoin 2024. We are minutes away from Donald Trump taking the stage, making history. We're going through his past remarks right now, thinking about what he might be able to say and laying out a policy vision for the United States and Bitcoin.
Bitcoin could spike, but when Doge spikes, it spikes much more.
To have it. This takes us maybe into his insight and thinking, and other countries are active on Bitcoin. Tell us what's going on around the world.
Well, the reality is that Bitcoin is a permissionless system, and we are already seeing countries like Bhutan, countries like El Salvador.
In 5 minutes, Doge went from 13.1 to 13.5 up to 13.8.
Treasury bonds. They no longer
back
have
down
to
to
ask permission
13.5.
to use the US dollar. They can just mine Bitcoin on their own with their own resources. They can accept Bitcoin. They can buy Bitcoin. And if we fall behind here as Americans.
Everybody give a
in the United
like,
States.
please give a like
That is
to
not
the
gonna stop
stream.
other
Get more
countries
people
that see
coming
it
in.
as a benefit from
We're
picking
looking
up
at
on
the
it, and
charts.
they stand to
We'll
gain
be
outside gains.
doing analysis
Of course,
throughout. I'll
waiting
let
for
Donald
Donald
Trump
J.
speak,
Trump to take
but
the stage.
I
The
may
news
insert
we
a
broke
few
minutes
comments
ago,
here
a
and there.
special guest on the way. The reason for the delay. Talking Trump right now, talking RFK. Want to switch a little bit to yesterday's remarks from Michael Saylor. Obviously, we're talking about a high bar for speeches at
Thank
this
you.
conference.
Appreciate it.
His
Thumbs up.
message to the world, quote, "The financial life is being sucked out
And
of
of course,
you."
if
His
you haven't already
plea
subscribed,
to have the
hit the
United
subscribe
States
button too.
buy
Appreciate
4
the support.
million Bitcoin of the 21 million that exist in his 21-year Bitcoin forecast. Want to walk through the bear, base, and bull scenarios? His bear case for the price of Bitcoin, $3 million.
I normally
per
have
coin.
my
His base
border
case,
up. I don't have that
$13
right
million
now. See how
per
that
coin.
looks.
In his bull case, a whopping
I guess we can see
$49
everything.
million per coin. In
We'll
the
keep
midst
the
of the
border
Trump
up.
pump, we're at $69,000 today. Want to get this industry panel's reaction on these numbers. Matt, you seem happy.
I'm very happy.
Sure, Joseph.
I've
Fun to
learned
be
my lesson
here.
about making
This
price
is
predictions. I
exciting.
would say it's
For
probably a little on the bearish
cryptocurrency,
side without
what's
saying
going to
it in
happen
specific
is
terms.
huge.
Michael
Former
Saylor is a
president and
capitalist.
possibly the
Donald
next
Trump
president
is
of
a
the United
capitalist.
States
Through my work at
attending
1031, we're investors in
the
36
Bitcoin conference
companies,
and talking
all the time
about
the leader of exclusive
cryptocurrency and
investment. Most of them
Bitcoin
are based
in
in
a
the United
speech
States. I think at
is
its core,
huge. It's
we need
huge.
the United States to be the
Legitimizes
leader in
crypto.
places where you can
Everyone
actually
who's
run
thinking
a Bitcoin
crypto
business
is going
in an
to
ethical
zero.
way, in a sound way, that you have solid
Crypto's not
foundations that
going
you
to
can
zero.
trust. And from a government point of view, you really cannot accumulate enough Bitcoin, no matter what. There's no number that is
You
enough.
cannot
I
accumulate
think
enough
Bitcoin is up
Dogecoin
and to the
either.
right forever. The question is, what is the timeline? It is a scarce asset. The supply will never change as adoption increases. And then later in the adoption cycle, as human flourishing increases, or GDP, etc., Bitcoin purchasing power should increase with it. So if you go by that logic, you can never have enough Bitcoin, period. So every person, every company, every government should simply stay humble and stack sats as hard as possible.
Of course, the script is out the window here. We're 20 minutes over from when Donald J. Trump was supposed to take the stage. We're told we're minutes away and that a special guest is on the way. We're talking now about Michael Saylor's bold vision for Bitcoin, his insane price prediction.
2021 for Dogecoin was crazy. I mean, spikes like this happened all the
Well,
time.
you know, I am on the record for saying that Bitcoin is likely a paradigm shift in value. I think that it is a better system for communicating and making economic decisions. And therefore, if you divide all the value on the planet by 21 million coins, that is not enough.
That's up to you,
It's a better
Fondue.
system. It actually makes infinity bigger.
I don't know if there's going to be a dip or a rip
As
here.
human beings
I have
continue to
no
push,
idea.
Infinity will get bigger. And to be honest, there is no prediction on a long enough time horizon that is bullish enough. I don't think any of us can actually be bullish enough. Our monkey brains are just not smart enough to see the new paradigm.
Talk to a girl.
Here waiting for
Yes.
Donald J. Trump to take the stage. Expectations high.
Have
for
Haley-
special guests.
have Haley
Of course,
come
the
on.
Chat's roving right now with expectations of who might come out. We don't know, of course. We're waiting to hear, but we know Donald J. Trump is here, that he will be
Bitcoin's
speaking.
hanging
We're
at
now talking about
68.5.
Michael Saylor and his price predictions for Bitcoin. We're going to take it to a
Ron.
short series of ads.
That's
A word
good.
from our sponsor. We'll be right back. History is moments away at Bitcoin 2024. Stay with us.
Moments away. Moments away. Well, I know there was a Doge contingent that was attending this year. Seen a lot of photos on X Twitter. The MyDoge app had a booth there. They are rolling out their Doginals, the ordinals on the Dogecoin blockchain, and the allowability to have that on your MyDoge app and hold your NFTs there. That's a big upgrade. Personally, I don't completely support it because I think the Dogecoin blockchain should be free of that stuff so that we can make sure that it has high speed, low fees for when it's actually going to be used as a currency. But understand it's a blockchain.
It all started in
Permissionless. If people want to build on it, they can build on it.
The first major
I
Bitcoin
get that.
conference in years that kickstarted a revolution. And then Miami. A place where enthusiasts, developers, dreamers,
I don't know.
and
The shorters
innovators
just might
come
get
together
totally
to make
squeezed
Bitcoin
out.
better. It has been
That could
an
happen.
amazing 5 years and 8 conferences.
They already
Thanks to
did a
all of
dump
you. Bitcoin
where
Conference has
we
become
saw
the
some
largest premier global
long
Bitcoin
leverage
gathering in the
positions
world, leading
get
hyper-Bitcoinization.
liquidated.
While Miami was
We're
incredible,
looking
it
on
was
this.
time to set the stage.
So
for
we had
Bitcoin
these
in a
that
new
happened.
city. So we took the
Oh, but
conference
look
on
at
the
that.
road.
A
Nashville,
Doge,
Tennessee
a
was the
short
obvious
got
choice,
liquidated.
a city known for music and freedom. Next year, the conference is being
$550,000
grown
Dogecoin
again in
short
search of the next
got
global
liquidated
stage.
on that
We are
spike
headed
up.
to a new city next
Look at
year
that.
with hyper-Bitcoinization right around the
So
corner.
yeah, we may see a lot of Doge leveraged longs
Find
and
out where we are
shorts
headed next. Scan
end
the
up being
QR
on
code
that
and be at the main
list. So
stage for the
we'll
big
watch that.
announcement.
The big ones were these ETH ones earlier. 3 million, 3 million, 2.9 million, huge.
Anyone can be a part of the Bitcoin economy.
Leverage.
It's like a good
position
church.
Because it's an ethical ideology.
Totally
There are many people that
liquidated.
feel very spiritual about it.
I think that Bitcoin has those
So we'll keep an eye on that.
Not just the most Islamic form of money, but the most Jewish and the most
Overall,
Christian form of money
crypto
as well.
bubbles
Bitcoin
are
is just another step in the technological
mostly
development of how
green.
we
We
can
got a
serve
few
God.
reds. Pop
Greatest
Cat
trainer
making a
of
big
politics for money.
turn back with down
Make the
big.
world a better place.
Render pulling back because a lot of the selling. But Jasmy's up. Jasmy's the big one that's up. It's Jasmy. And we've been talking about Jasmy on the live streams. If you guys aren't into Jasmy, it's not going to stop at 3 cents, guys. Go back up to 4, double to 8, 10 cents or higher. So watch Jasmy. A lot of things going on. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. Right now, Dogecoin has made the big move down and up already. So a little spiciness like we thought there would be already with Doge. You don't like that wonderful music? You're all in on Jasmy too, Fondue? Awesome. Awesome. I can mute the ads. That's all right. Yeah, I didn't do my intro, just went right into the conference. I mean, they were talking to Ron Paul at the time, which was good. I mean, he had some interesting things to say.
Welcome back to the Mara News Desk, powered by Bitcoin Magazine, the eyes of the world on Nashville, Tennessee. I'm your host, Pete Rizzo, editor at Bitcoin Magazine. The main event of Bitcoin 2024, minutes away, but delayed. If you're just tuning in on the stream, we're waiting for Donald J. Trump to take the stage of the Bitcoin conference with a special guest who is on his way. Obviously, no more to say on that, but a great panel who is going to kind of continue
Special
to talk about
guest.
what we might see from the former and possibly future president to my left. Matt Odell, founder of 1031 Ventures, Christian Carolus of the Human Rights Foundation, and P, podcaster extraordinaire, joining us. P, take us into the
Yeah, it won't be Kamala because they said he. The special guest is a he, so it's not
excited. They're
Kamala.
ecstatic. They cannot wait to hear what is going to happen on stage in a few minutes, hopefully.
Well, we've been talking about these 3 words that have the world's imagination: strategic Bitcoin reserves. The expectations are high that Trump will make an announcement, and the pressure on because of RFK yesterday coming out saying he'll waive capital gains on purchase transactions, stockpiling
Big
4 million
Mike.
Bitcoin. What does the president need to say?
Oh, man. That is a very difficult question to answer.
That's awesome.
The world is his oyster.
Well, take me into your thoughts as a Bitcoiner, someone who supported
Biden.
Bitcoin for a long time. Maybe
You
he's
guys are good.
waiting for your vote as an American. Is there something Donald Trump can say to you today?
You know, I mean, I am extremely excited to hear what he has to say about.
Look at the red hat. It says Bitcoin, made in America.
Support for Bitcoiners, support for Bitcoin as a store of
See
value.
that? Bitcoin, made in America.
Anything in that vein would be huge and would be extremely exciting to hear today.
Of course, we're taking questions on X, Rumble, and YouTube streaming live. Send them in. We are waiting for confirmation of when Donald J. Trump will take the stage. We've talked about his policy. We've talked about Michael Saylor's Bitcoin price predictions, and we're talked about the price activity.
Who could he be waiting for?
$69,000 right now, and expectations that the Donald Trump future presidency could be good for Bitcoin and the Bitcoin price. Christian, why don't you take us in there? Is that an expectation that viewers should have?
Yeah, I think that anything on the size of the United States becoming friendly and officially friendly to Bitcoin is absolutely fantastic for Bitcoin price, because that opens the door to all the innovation.
Trump is on time. Elon's always late.
Turn it to some reporting that I saw earlier today, which is that the Democratic Party is actually now pressuring to stop Elizabeth Warren's attack on crypto and her siege against Bitcoin privacy and Bitcoin
Who
mining,
else would he be waiting for?
This pressure is actually changing Bitcoin from a red issue to something that is apolitical, and I think that
if it's Elon,
exactly
oh my God.
how fighting Bitcoin is turning into
That
a
would just be
losing
crazy.
issue. So not only can it be a winning issue for a candidate, but opposing Bitcoin can absolutely be a losing issue. And, I would love to see in November some massive splashes against some anti-Bitcoin politicians, especially ones that are incumbents who have been there for a long time, like Elizabeth Warren.
Well, of course, there's this idea floating around Washington now, new for some, that Bitcoiners are single issue voters. Matt, are you a single issue Bitcoin voter?
My single issue is freedom, and I've yet to see a presidential candidate
Wear Doge
in
hats.
my lifetime run on that issue, and hopefully that changes soon.
P, Christian, your thoughts? Is Donald Trump right now competing for your vote?
Yeah, I mean, he's
Elon.
I'll go. So yeah, I mean, I think that of course he's competing for everyone's vote. For me personally, I have not been someone who has voted for a mainstream political
If
candidate
it's Elon and he
ever
shows
in my
up,
life.
we're going to see
if he can
biggest
say the right
green
things and
candle
he can make
on
the assurances that I
Doge
find to be
that
credible
we've seen
for
in
Bitcoin,
years.
it could be something that I can consider. And I think that there are a lot of Bitcoiners who are in my same shoes, a lot of people who are millennials who are in my same shoes, who've been disillusioned from the existing political conversation, and they are excited
That's true,
about Bitcoin.
Toss.
And
I mean,
maybe he can sway
Trump
us.
always likes
There's
to
a lot of
be
talk
the
here
center of
about
attention.
Bitcoin as a partisan issue. I'm going to back up and talk about Bitcoin as a generational issue. Maybe something that's just appealing to young people. The old timers don't get it. P, your thoughts on
Could it
Bitcoin
be JD
as a
Vance?
generational voting issue?
Is he waiting
Absolutely.
for
I
Vance
think
to
it's
show up?
extremely relevant, even
And they
more so
make an
before
appearance
this
together?
election. We've never seen Bitcoin discussed so openly, so consistently in an election cycle. And I think that's a testament to how it is becoming even more part of the mainstream conversation. It's really, it's entered the Overton window. I think, it's huge.
We're waiting for history to be made on stage. The
Yes.
eyes of the world on
We're
Nashville,
waiting.
Tennessee. People rapt about what Donald J. Trump might announce on stage. Now even more expectations of a special guest. Guys, what are your thoughts on this special guest? Who it might be? Who can take the expectations and the sentiment here even higher than it is?
I mean, Pete might hate me for this, but
Are we gonna say Elon?
the special guest is worth it. I think it'll be worth the wait. We personally know who the special guest is. It's going to be well worth it.
Well, I do not know. And I actually heard, I have a good authority, that it's actually a sort of genetic chimera that's been constructed of sort of a combination of Santa Claus and Elon Musk and also Abraham Lincoln combined into one.
Right.
Is that correct?
I think that is who Satoshi Nakamoto is.
Satoshi.
You're not supposed to tell them ahead of time.
I'm so sorry.
Well,
we can
let's
edit
back
this
up
out,
a little
right?
bit and talk about Satoshi Nakamoto, maybe in context of this historic moment. We've seen history on this stage before. Maybe this will
Hulk
be the
Hogan.
most historic announcement we've ever
Imagine
seen at the
Hulk
Bitcoin
Hogan.
conference coming up. Satoshi Nakamoto, of course, the founder, creator of
Snoop
Bitcoin.
Dogg.
We know this individual
Snoop
is
Dogg
very
shows up.
highly motivated, a cypherpunk. He believed in privacy, believed in freedom. Matt, your take on what he would make of the idea of this conference being so political?
I imagine
Snoop would be
Satoshi's out
awesome.
there somewhere that the last 15 years of Bitcoin has just absolutely blown his mind, because it has just been amazing to witness personally. It has blown my mind over and over again. It is astounding to watch both the pace and progress.
CC's still in
of this
jail.
movement.
I think he's.
And
I think
really
he's still
do
there
think
till September.
that we could see here the beginning of the next great American
Yeah,
century.
Snoop.
And it's just I'm humbled to be sitting here right now as that happens.
Talking about Satoshi Nakamoto, this Bitcoin movement was once an idea in someone's head, something that didn't exist. Christian, your thoughts, your perspective.
Yeah, I mean, look, I agree with Matt. Likely Satoshi himself.
Yeah, Kanye
was
and
not
his wife
even
comes
bullish
out
enough, but
topless.
He did know that he was building an economic incentive system that was, if it did catch on, it'd be.
Hey,
worth
Joshua,
getting some,
welcome.
right? So
Yeah,
that's
I'm
the
here,
exact quote.
hanging out.
And Pete, I mean, I would love to turn it to you. I've called you the world's Satoshi expert. You've done incredible research into everything Satoshi. I know you may be even writing a book one day. I mean, tell us.
The
what do you think
anticipation
Satoshi
here for this, though,
Look, I
is
think
just
Satoshi
continuing
was a
to
person of
build and
intent.
build
We know
and
that because
build.
of the way he's architected this system, right? Obviously, building it with so many qualities, the 21 million limits, the cap that ensures that monetary freedom was available for everyone. But I think with Satoshi, look, if he's here, I think he is probably marveling at what he's achieved, right? I don't think he could have known, but it's important to kind of look at the context of where he came from, right? He saw an internet that was politicized. He foresaw that the technology
Who's the
that we
special
now use to
guest? I
connect
know.
could be turned against
Who
us.
is it?
The kinds of things we're experiencing today with deplatforming and privacy.
That's what we all
Those are
want to
all
know.
Things that were of concern to the community he came
Well,
from,
since I'm
the cypherpunks.
here
And I
live
think
in
it's very
Boston,
interesting
I'm
for
definitely
what's
not
really in the
Nashville.
headline maybe here is that the cypherpunks have entered mainstream politics, maybe with the arrival of Donald J. Trump here today.
Another
Do you think
nothing
that's
burger.
a fair categorization, Matt?
I mean, I think
I mean, they
I think
said
the cyberpunks have been trailblazers.
it's going to be
in
exciting.
terms of
So what would
political
they say
freedom
is
in the United
exciting
States
if it's a
specifically, but
nothing
also
burger?
globally? They were leaders in the fight in the early 90s for encryption to be the standard around the world and be easily accessible. This idea that you write code,
Bitcoin
and you
still at
opt out of
68.5.
corrupt politics in order to achieve your
Doge
goals, but
13.4.
also at the same time you engage with local politicians, you engage with ethical governments in order to protect yourself and protect the movement. That was a twofold win in the 90s. That was a twofold win.
I know,
because
wouldn't
the
that be
code got
awesome,
distributed,
Joshua?
The code was sound.
I showed
it
that
worked
last
really
week. Were you
well,
live when I
but
showed
also
that on the
governments
live
weren't
stream?
actively attacking encryption.
That was
And
from
yes,
2021,
there are
Bitcoin
attacks
Miami.
in different places around
That
the
was
world.
awesome.
We've seen them recently in the UK and Europe, which is
Just
really
another reason
not
why
great
the
to see,
Bitcoin
because
maxis
privacy
hate
at its core
Dogecoin.
protects every single human on the planet. The ability to selectively reveal yourself to the world. But at the same time, if you look back at these last 30 years, I think the early cyberpunks would be quite proud that there hasn't been major transgressions, at least among Western democracies, against encryption and the different open source tools that empower.
They're
One
filling
of the most
time.
fascinating things, Satoshi categorizing Bitcoin as an
Blah,
alternative
blah, blah,
to
blah.
central banking, an alternative to government-run monetary systems. And here we have governments coming into the conversation. Christian.
Yeah, well, I mean, ultimately, every single government on the planet runs a website. Every single government on the planet uses email.
That's
Bitcoin
awesome.
is actually a protocolized version of money and value and property.
Hey, Blue
that we can
Horse,
use,
welcome.
And it actually delivers property rights to places where it was not even
It's the middle of the
possible,
morning for you,
to
isn't it?
happen under government.
Early morning.
So ultimately, I think that it is extremely bullish that now governments are once again bending the knee, looking at technology, and then ultimately having to adopt it. And I think that
Well, get yourself some coffee. Trump hasn't started speaking
history
yet.
at Bitcoin 2024. We're waiting for Donald J. Trump to take the stage. We're waiting to unveil the special guest. And of course, right now we've got a word from our sponsors. We'll be right back on the main stage, bringing you news, highlights, analysis until history is made. Stay with us.
So
Yeah, we'll just mute that. I like your guys' idea to just mute that all that other noise, right? You've heard it before. Still minutes away, Davey. Still minutes away. Sam Bankman-Fried. You guys are great. You guys are awesome. Well, Jets, Trump is there, but apparently there's going to be a special guest, and they're waiting for the special guest to arrive, whoever this is. I didn't hear anything about this till just a few minutes ago. Can we expect Doge to cross the dollar mark? Well, not today. Meanwhile, Bitcoin's down to 68.2, 68.3. If it drops much lower, we're going to see more leverage longs getting liquidated. If it drops below 68K, definitely you're going to see leverage positions. Yeah, expect nothing. Well, Jason, they said it was, they said him, so it wouldn't be Warren. Plus, she's still totally anti-crypto. She'll never flip on that. But yeah, the special guest, no idea. I mean, we saw Elon was with little X over in France. Unless he immediately hopped on a plane and flew to Nashville. But that's that would be something. But yeah, they're dumping Bitcoin some more before the show starts. There it goes. There it goes. Look at that. Almost as predicted. Dumping Bitcoin before the show. Wipe out some more leveraged longs. What did we just have? $500,000 Bitcoin, $300,000 Bitcoin. Here's another $500,000 Bitcoin. Just got liquidated. Just now. Yeah. Could see that coming. You could see that coming.
Of MicroStrategy making the same appeal. We've got a new round of panelists to discuss as we await history to happen on the Nakamoto stage. I've got Matt Odell to my left, founder of 1031 Ventures. We've got Mr. Mike Germano, president of Bitcoin Magazine, and Q Gahimi. You know him as our roving reporter on the street.
That's what I think, Troy. Dip before the rip.
Talking with people, getting into the expectations, the insights, everything that's been going on. Obviously, a big announcement on stage before the waiting period that we're now entering, that Donald J. Trump is now a Bitcoiner. The Bitcoin community banding together to gift one
There's
Bitcoin
Doge.
to Donald J. Trump.
Back down to
Mike,
13.2.
your reaction to this news.
Rizzo, I really appreciate you calling on me first as I came running over here from the main stage.
Boy, that's because you know what happened in the room.
Yes. So, folks, one of the wonderful things that are happening here, if you not see, there's a massive line that's outside because obviously 4 weeks ago we weren't even expecting to have a
I mean, I've seen the video. It looks absolutely wild. Is there people really lined up beside the block right now?
Oh, there's people outside the block. The room is full. It's to capacity. You know, we had to once again deal with fire codes. I want to say thank you to the Secret Service that did an unbelievable job at the event. Not only were we excited that RK got his Secret Service detail, which he deserved, but obviously they're paying a little bit more attention with President Trump now, Secret Service. So, you know, we have our expo hall, we have all the main stages. So going through Secret Service, you actually have to go through TSA. So I don't think Bitcoiners would ever expect
Barry shorting.
Matt Odell's a big fan of TSA. So it's really
He started shorting Doge before Saturday Night Live.
Bitcoin 2024. Q, you're joining us from the floor. You've been covering all aspects of this venue. Maybe take us into what's happening outside right now. We're just seeing
If you're shorting Bitcoin or Dogecoin right now, you're gambling.
Lined up to try to get in. To
It's
see
a
Donald J.
gamble.
Trump, to see this special guest waiting. What are you seeing?
I mean, look, we got in here very early in the morning, and from the start, before doors were even open, people were lining up in anticipation of this talk. People immediately, they got in, they didn't want to do anything else. They went straight to the screenings, went down to the Nakamoto stage, and I saw people with books. I saw people
Bitcoin struggling at 68K.
to make sure that they can just stay there.
Anything else
All the way
moving?
To have seats to watch this historic event transpire. Never in any of the Bitcoin conferences
really.
I've been to have I seen anything like this. Where
Bitcoin dominance.
Of course, the waiting is building expectation.
Also,
is this raising the stakes?
dropping
for what Donald
down.
Trump has to say on stage. Mike,
he's a showman. Donald Trump's a showman. right?
Look at that
I'm
Bitcoin
expecting him to come out
dominance.
with like money, 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 money. Like this is, this guy, he's an apprentice. He's teaching us a lot. He's a showman. I think he's building up the hype. And right now, I want to point out Ron Paul, who's a
just on
doctor,
stage.
the good doctor. He kind of ran as fast as he could over there, and he's in the hall with everybody. He got a wondrous applause when he came in. And right now, we're actually
Me too,
the
Joseph.
live stream is being
Wreck the
broadcast to
shorts.
everybody in that room. So we want to thank
Absolutely.
everybody.
Let's see this thing
We
rip.
We are working
Like
on
everything,
obviously a lot
just
of
rip.
security, which is exciting, and we are definitely not buying time up here. We're taking this very seriously.
Well,
to
we're
get this
really
all
working
planned.
through the issues. We're talking about the policy proposal that Trump might put forth. Of course, already a slew of public statements from Donald Trump since his reversal earlier this year on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Of course, his big issues: energy independence.
Sure,
coming out
Jason.
Against CBDCs.
Glad you're able to
recognizing
tune
that we're
in.
a growing industry and constituency, and really maybe the biggest one. He doesn't want to lose a foreign advantage that we might have in the international stage. Matt, why don't you take us in?
I predicted yesterday it was going to be late,
The president,
which is why I
lead
didn't
us
come on
forward
more
on
than
the
5
next
minutes before the
generation
scheduled
of
start.
American success.
Because I
wanna
knew it was
see
going to be late.
America become the best country in the world to run a Bitcoin business. I want to see America become the best place in the world to be an open source developer. And I want to see America start stacking the hardest asset that the world has ever seen in a big way.
Well, a lot of talk that this might really be a 1990s moment for Bitcoin, really the internet becoming mainstream during that decade, breaking through and with legislation in America, really powering economic.
The garage can wait, Joe.
Decade. Q, your thoughts on how what Donald J. Trump might say on stage might compare to this time period where we know America embraced innovation and could do so again.
I mean, we are bearing witness to the game theory playing out in real time. When Jack Mallers announced El Salvador adopting Bitcoin in 22, it was an incredible moment.
Trump was scheduled to speak for 50 minutes, but
talking about it.
maybe he realized he couldn't fill 50 minutes on his own.
Remotely having this conversation about America,
But this special guest
having some
thing,
sort of adoption.
well, I don't know. We'll see.
Jamal's getting jumpy. Go ahead.
The only thing I think we're talking about what Trump's going to do. There's one thing that Trump needs to do. The one thing he promised is he needs to free Ross on day one.
Right.
That is the one thing that he needs to do. And my hope is when he gets in, he free Ross is on day one. And then when we look at Bitcoin 2025 in Las Vegas, there's only one person that everyone's going to want to see speak,
Right.
and that would be Ross.
So let's talk about Ross Ulbricht, founder of Silk Road. Of course, the reason that many people became Bitcoiners. Maybe Matt, you can speak to Ross and his importance to this community and why so many people champion his cause.
I mean, I think at the core of the issue here,
Doge has still been the most volatile leading up to the Trump speech.
It was a nonviolent crime. He was running a Bitcoin-powered drug marketplace, and I think it crosses party lines. The fact that he has done more than enough time served. President Trump has promised.
Come on, guys, let's go.
And that's a key point there. Not pardon his sentence, not say he was not guilty, but commute it for time served. I would really like to see that. I will say that that falls under the context of believing a presidential candidate's campaign promises. I will say a lot of other things President Trump can announce today. Actually, he doesn't even need to fulfill for it to become a self-fulfilling prophecy, which is part of the reason it makes it such a crazy moment. And the fact alone that President Trump has come down to Nashville to the largest Bitcoin conference in the world to talk about Bitcoin and talk about innovation in America is a massive achievement in itself that not enough people appreciate at this moment, but they will appreciate in 2 decades. They will appreciate in 3 decades. They will look back on it and be like, that was it. That was the paradigm shift.
Hey, I don't know game theory.
Donald J.
Tough.
Trump to take the main Nakamoto stage with a special guest. Of course, we're talking about something more somber, the freedom of Ross Ulbricht at stake in election 2024. Meaningful for a country and a community, but also meaningfully for a family. Mike, I know
I've never
you
looked
spent
at
time
it,
with some of
so
Ross's
I don't know.
family, know the cause, know the movement. Q, this is something that people who have reported on the scene know well, the tale of Lynn Ulbricht and the family. Mike, Q.
Elon's jet is arriving in Nashville.
Look, as someone who's a parent myself, to think about not being able to see your kid is a thought I don't want to have. And so when you see Lynn, and she keeps coming every year, it makes you want to do a little bit more. It makes you do the research.
Somebody could be making that up. I don't know.
The 10,000 t-shirts we have outside. Everybody in that auditorium right now who's wearing a t-shirt, right? They all want to see that happen too. They get to be part of this movement.
I'm guessing there's all sorts of theories going on X Twitter right now, and I don't even want to.
And
I don't even want to go there.
Even at Bitcoin Magazine, every single
we'll know soon enough.
Free Ross seems to creep up on everything. I want to give a shout out to Tommy. Tommy, our resident crazy designer, who pushes Free Ross everywhere.
Right. This has been a core advocacy push from Bitcoin Magazine. Any issue, if you go online, subscribe now, you'll find a free Ross ad. So Mike, maybe as the publisher of Bitcoin Magazine, you can tell us why we've sent that message to so many people through our magazine.
Well, number one, it's because the magazine team always swaps out an ad and puts a free Ross ad in anyway and doesn't tell me. So I don't have a choice. But I think that's what it means for, once again, Ross helped a lot of us maybe buy our first Bitcoin for didn't matter what reason, right? And more importantly, it's a movement that is something we're excited to get behind. And as a publisher for print magazine, we want to just thank all the people who subscribe to it. If you didn't do that, we wouldn't have had the money to do the long form journalism. We wouldn't have had the money to put on this event. So we really appreciate those who believe in our cause too. And so we'd have to believe in a cause like freeing Ross.
That's okay. I understood it from your French.
Donald J. Trump taking the stage. We're told a special guest is on the way. We want to back up. This is a historic moment. People from around the country coming in for the first time. Mike, you mentioned Dr.
Elon's jet is in Nashville. Oh my God.
Speaking to the hundreds of thousands of people.
This would be so huge.
About his personal life, his crusade against central banking, about the monetary policy issues that are affecting America, and of course the economy.
This is worth waiting for.
Deal this year. People just feel like they can't get ahead. The TikTok videos going viral. People don't understand what's happening to them. So the average American voter who's coming to this for the first time, seeking answers. We say Bitcoin fixes this. What does this mean, Matt Odell?
I didn't realize you're going to call on me. I just want
you sit next to me.
I just want to say that after we free Ross, I would really like to see in the American government and across the American political spectrum, the priority be placed that
Elon Musk,
a place where code
Bitcoin
is
conference.
I believe the Constitution already protects it. I believe that we have developers right now that are sitting in jail.
Elon Musk, his jet is about to land in Nashville. Will he also join the Bitcoin 2024
going
conference?
forward so that developers of open source software, non-custodial software that does not touch money,
there
are not
is
treated as money transfer
your
businesses,
proof.
and that are properly treated as protected speech writers.
Okay.
I do want to take you into this conversation. Of course, central banking, monetary policy concerns around
Looks
the
like it's
world.
Elon, guys.
Maybe take the viewers at home into your thought process.
I mean, everyone feels it. We all see it when we go to the grocery
like
store.
it's
We all see it
Elon.
Our tank of gas. We spent some time yesterday talking about this. You would be hard pressed to find someone who has not felt the effects of our terrible monetary decisions here in America and beyond as well. It's important to also recognize the fact that while the world relies on the dollar and we have felt inflation,
We're going to see
the rest of the world
huge
has
green
consistently seen higher and
spikes
higher inflation
in
than what we have
Dogecoin.
stateside. So if you think it's bad here, it only gets worse and worse the further out you go. I'm going to continue to hammer this point home. But the fact of the matter is, we have such a financial
Meanwhile,
advantage to
Bitcoin
America,
has dropped
country
below
that has the global
68K.
reserve currency. Most of the world, the majority of the world is unbanked, and
But
Bitcoin is
Doge
an opportunity for
is
them
seeing green
to have
candles.
access to money and store their wealth in a way that they just don't have.
We're going to go to a quick break now before we're bringing up another special guest, and we are still awaiting history. It's coming, folks. Donald J. Trump in the building at the Bitcoin conference at Music City Center here in Nashville, Tennessee. Stay with us. We'll be right back on X, YouTube, and Rumble. Stay tuned.
What
The Bitcoin
could,
conference.
what could this be? In the YouTube chat on this, it's a lot of Elon. A lot of Elon. I don't think even the ongoing lawsuit would stop Elon from talking about Dogecoin if he wants to. We know he has on occasion still. We know in March he talked at Giga Berlin and he talked about Dogecoin and supporting Dogecoin for his workers. So if he wants to talk about Dogecoin, he can do it. Fondue's buying Doge. Gambling. Here, look, green candles. Look at it. Look at Doge go. What price did you get, Fondue? Did you get it down at like 13.3? Doge is going to go crazy, guys. Yeah, this is worth it, Curtis. This is big. This is big today. I didn't think Elon would be there, but yeah, we were all stacking at 5 and 6 cents. But today, what did Fondue just buy at? That's what I want to know. What did you get? Did you get down here at 13.3? Because the choice is, I mean, do you buy right now before it takes off? Do you buy some more? Doge is going to go nuts. Well, it'd have been in 13 point something, Fondue, because it didn't drop quite to 13 cents. So it'd be like 13.2, 13.3 probably. That'd be my guess. In US currency. If it pumps to 20 cents, I'm selling because it's going to go back down. You know, Midnight Madness, it's probably true. That's how Dogecoin goes. We saw it when Elon bought Twitter, huge pump up, and then it just came crashing down the next day. So, yeah. The FOMO would be huge, though. Can Robinhood keep up? Bitcoin is struggling at 68K, and look at Doge. It's all about Doge now. Yeah, what's happening with the stream here? I'm seeing just going in circles. What is happening there? Oh, I don't want to do it on that one. I do it on this one. Nope, still same. Same. They said it might break the internet. Yeah, that was that David guy from a Bitcoin magazine. He probably knew this was coming, that Elon was going to show up. That's what he meant by this could break the internet. Is there another site that might be broadcasting live? Well, X, right? They're live on X, right? don't want that. I want the live. Where's the live? Well, Mario's. I don't want to see Mario's. I want to see Bitcoin magazines. That's all happened earlier. I'm looking. No. But they did say that they were live. So let's go to at Bitcoin magazine. Let's go to their site. Huh? Same. Yeah, same on X. Sky News. Because this is not happening. Here's Fox.
You probably heard that Israel was just attacked, very severely attacked, and Hezbollah looks like. And this is things that won't happen. I mean, you just can't. They have to respect us.
Found it.
They have to respect.
Got
They
it on
cannot do
Fox.
this. They cannot do this. What they did just now with that attack is terrible. Just happened. And so to all, God bless everybody. This is so serious. They have to respect our country. This would never have happened with us, and we just cannot let it continue. So we just wish them all a lot of luck. This happened as I'm walking on the stage. You probably, most of you have heard about it, but it just, it's a terrible thing. But I'm thrilled to be here in Nashville to become the first American president ever to address a Bitcoin event anywhere in the world.
All right, we got it, guys.
Anywhere in the world.
See what happens now.
I want to thank David Bailey for inviting me. Special guy. You know, this whole love affair sort of started. David, about 4 months ago, was at Mar-a-Lago. I took a picture with him. I mean, he's a nice looking guy. He's okay. He's out here someplace. But I took a picture, it got published, Trump and David Bailey. All of a sudden, your industry went through the roof. So, David, congratulations. Whatever the hell you do, you did a hell of a job. But as well as all of the Bitcoin luminaries and legends here, you have legends in this room. They really are. Congratulations. Would the legends please stand? Oh, everyone's standing anyway. That's nice. I used to say, sit down, everybody sit down. But it's nice when they stand, including Tyler and Cameron. Do you know who that is? Winklevoss. These are great guys. They look like male models with a brain, you know? They're male models with a big, beautiful brain. Michael Saylor is here. Kathy Wood. Ron Paul and Rand Paul are here. Vivek is here. Vivek Ramaswamy. Where's Vivek? Where are you, Vivek? There he is. He's great. A man that I call Bob, but you probably know him as Kid Rock. Where's Kid Rock? Where is he? He's great. He's a good guy and a talented guy and another talented guy. He was so incredible. This one, he went and he played at the funeral of a great fireman who was killed, fire chief, killed a week and a half ago at the rally. And Billy Ray Cyrus went and played music for the family, and it was supposed to be so incredible. I've heard so many things about it. And Billy Ray Cyrus is here. Where's Billy Ray? He's around here someplace. And he's great. He's a conservative guy. Said, how did you get such a liberal daughter? How did that happen, Billy Ray? And by the way, Kid Rock was incredible at the convention. You probably saw him. You saw him? He was great. He was great. Another one, Jake Paul. You don't want to fight this guy. You know, you don't want to fight. He's got a big fight coming with Mike Tyson, but he's glad he didn't fight Mike when Mike was 19. He told me that today. But he's a fantastic guy, very talented guy in a lot of ways. Governor Joe Lombardo, who's fantastic, and we're doing well in his state. And he's going to make sure that there's no hanky-panky going on. And if that happens, we're going to win his great state. But you know who he is, and he's a fantastic governor.
Jake Paul, really?
Bill Haggerty, Marsha Blackburn, Cynthia Lummis, Tim Scott. And Tim was great. Boy, I'll tell you, he was such a strong voice for me. He was on so many shows and did such a great job. During the primaries, he was incredible. I want to thank him, special guy. They're all special people. They're warriors. Tommy Tuberville, you know Tommy Tuberville?
He just keeps laying out all these names.
Alabama.
It's like filling
Many
time.
members of Congress, Andy Ogles, Thomas
Enrique,
Massey,
give it time.
John Rose,
Give it time.
Mark Green and French Hill, and the next U.S. Senator from Ohio. I hear he's doing very well, Bernie Moreno. Where is Bernie? I hear Bernie's doing well. The great Laura Loomer. Some of you know Laura. She's a fantastic person, great woman. And a tremendous developer from New York and Florida, one of the best, Steve Witkoff, and he's got his son Alex with him today. That's an incredible family, development family. They've been supporters from the beginning. Howard Lutnick, Cantor Fitzgerald, incredible.
We'll get there, Frank. We'll get there.
Of Wall Street, and a whole group of his distinguished guests and a lot of our distinguished guests. We have a lot of other people here, and I won't bother anymore. That's enough. Because we have to talk about crypto. We have to talk about Bitcoin. We have to talk about all these great companies. But our country is blessed to have the extraordinary talent, energy, and genius represented in this room. It really is great genius. Not all of you, but most of you. Many of you. But this is the kind of spirit that built America, and this is the spirit that's going to help us make America great again. That's what we're doing. I stand before you today filled with respect and admiration for what the Bitcoin community has achieved. It's incredible, actually. I sort of say to my sons, it's like incredible because they do so much about it. They're so aware of it, much more so than people that are a little bit older. But I say this is the steel industry of 100 years ago. It really is. I think you're just in your infancy. I can see it happening. In just 15 years, Bitcoin has gone from merely an idea posted anonymously on an internet message board to being the 9th most valuable asset anywhere in the world. Can you believe that? Is that right? That's a big deal. Think of that. It's already bigger than ExxonMobil. Soon it will be surpassing the entire market.
Everybody hit the like button, please. Hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Thank you.
How about gold? Let's go gold. And one day it probably will overtake gold, but based on the way it's going now, it could very well be a possibility. There's never been anything like it. And I don't think you've ever seen anything like it.
And how about
and
Doge?
Most people have no idea what the hell it is. You know that, right?
Dogecoin.
So what happens when they figure it out? That's going to really be something. Bitcoin is not just a marvel of technology. As you know, it's a miracle of cooperation and human achievement. A lot of relationships that are formed. I just did a meeting, a roundtable with a lot of the leaders, and it's amazing. There's a great camaraderie. It's really interesting. There's competition, but there's a relationship, there's a friendship that's developed with a lot of these people. I noticed that I don't usually see that too often. I see the opposite, actually. They want to get each other. They want to kill each other. These guys have a great feeling. Very smart people, too. Congratulations on all.
Yep, it's time.
This room is amazing. The people in this
Let's
room,
go.
high IQ individuals. I'm running against a low IQ individual. Her. I'm not even talking about him. Her. I got a low IQ individual. The reason I've come to address the Bitcoin community today can be summed up in two very simple words: America first. Because if we don't do it, China's going to be doing, others are going to be doing it. Let's do it and do it right. My vision is for an America that dominates the future. We have the best economy, the highest standard of living, the safest and most beautiful cities. And by the way, when I say safest, our cities are going to hell right now. Our cities are going to hell. We're going to fix our cities. We're going to work with Democrats that have destroyed our cities, but we'll work with them, and we're going to get our cities back. We're going to bring our country back. And we really were the freest and the most ambitious, most dynamic nation ever to exist on Earth, and we're going to get that back again, because we're not there now. We're a nation in decline. You know it. We know it. Doesn't sound nice. But it's okay, because we're going to bring it back. We're going to bring it back fast. Right now, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing what's happened. Even today, when you look at what we just said, that would never have happened if they respected our country. If we don't embrace crypto and Bitcoin technology, China will, other countries will. They'll dominate, and we cannot let China dominate. They are making too much progress as it is. And we want them to be successful. I don't want China to be successful, but we have to be the most successful. That's what's going to happen. I want the United States to be first in technology, first in science, first in manufacturing, first in artificial intelligence, and first in space. You know, at MIT, my uncle was a professor there, Dr. John Trump. He would have fit in with this room very nicely, actually. That's why I mentioned it. And I believe he was the longest serving professor in the history of MIT. He graduated. We have a very intelligent family, actually. He graduated tremendously. I think he has 3 different degrees, but they said, would you like to stay on, John, and be a professor? Well, I've got a lot of offers, I assume he said, but I've got a lot of offers. Well, he was there for, I believe, 41 years. When I was in the White House, the head of MIT came to see me, and they presented me with a book.
Yeah, this Fox News
the academic
live now could be on a bit of a delay, but we had to scramble to find a different site that wasn't
highly intelligent people
locked up. So,
and you are highly intelligent. America's destiny is to lead our rivals in everything and to surrender our industries to no one. To no one. You know, some of you are involved with AI. But you also have the same thing. You need a thing called electricity. You need a lot of electricity. You know, AI needs to be really dominant, and China can do it much easier. We have environmental impact statements to do, but we're going to do things that nobody thought were possible. You need tremendous amounts of electricity. You need double the electricity of the entire electricity that we have right now in the United States to dominate. And we'll get that done.
Thanks, Troy.
Who would think we can get that done?
We'll stay here with the Fox one.
We'll be having power plants built at the sites. We'll be releasing people from certain ridiculous requirements. And we'll be using fossil fuel to make electricity because we're going to have to. We'll be using nuclear. We'll be doing it in an environmentally friendly way. But we will be creating so much electricity
prices dropping.
That you'll be saying, please, please, President,
Look at
we
that.
don't want any
Bitcoin
more
dropping.
electricity. We can't stand it. You'll be begging me, no more electricity, sir. We have enough. We have enough. You know, in the Midwest, they just opened, it was very interesting. They just opened up 2 chargers, you know, a charger for the electric cars. And you know, I love Elon. He's great. He endorsed me and great endorsement and everything else. But not everybody has to have an electric car. I told him that. So we're going to get rid of that mandate if you don't mind. Some people want gasoline-propelled cars. Some people want a hybrid. And some people like an electric car. They're great. I think they're great. I think what he's done is great. And I think he
bring him
understands
out.
it. I guess he probably wouldn't have endorsed me. He knows where I am on this. But he did. And it's just like they did these chargers in the Midwest. There are 8 of them. They spent $9 billion to build 8 chargers to charge up a car. And at that rate, it would cost approximately $12 trillion to put the chargers in. Somehow that's not working. The country would have to file for Chapter 11. We'll do a chapter, you know, it's called Chapter 7 instead of a Chapter 11, but it's the equivalent. No, we have to use our brain. We
Still
have to
dumping Bitcoin.
We are the party of common sense, okay? We have to have common sense. But what we do have to do is we have to produce tremendous electric for AI and for all of the other things, including the things that you're doing. And we'll get it produced, and we're going to get it produced fast, or we're not going to be able to compete with China and other countries. So we're going to get it produced fast. This afternoon, I'm laying out my plan to ensure that the United States will be the crypto capital of the planet and the Bitcoin superpower of the world, and we'll get it done. If crypto is going to define the future, I want to be mined, minted, and made in the USA. It's going to be. It's not going to be made anywhere else. And if Bitcoin is going to the moon, as we say, it's going to the moon, I want America to be the nation that leads the way. And that's what's going to happen. No, you're going to be very happy with me. You're going to be so happy. You're going to say he's the greatest guy. That's why I'm proud to be the first major party nominee in American history to accept donations in Bitcoin and crypto. And they've made a lot of them, I might tell you. And I appreciate it.
And
Since we
Dogecoin,
made that
too. They
announcement
do
on
accept
May
Dogecoin.
21st, we've already raised $25 million, much of it in Bitcoin, crypto, and others that are very, very good also. But as you know, our excitement about the future of Bitcoin and crypto could not be more difficult from the approach of our opponents. Can't be, look, our opponents have gone a difficult route. They're going old-fashioned stuff. We're going to take it right down
Just
the middle.
step down on the edge of
We
the
are
carpet,
going to, we're
and
so
then you can
different
close
from
it.
anybody else in terms of a campaign. First of all, we understand it. They don't understand it. They are blocking your path. They're blocking your way. But I've made it a lot easier for you because the SEC has been very, very tough on you. And now they see that you've embraced me. All of a sudden, people that were under investigation, they're being let go. They're saying, oh, no, we don't want to do that. We love crypto. Let me tell you, if they win this election, every one of you will be gone. They will be vicious. They will be ruthless. They will do things that you wouldn't believe. But right now, because of me, they're leaving you alone. So please say thank you, President Trump. Thank you very much. And the reason they're doing that is I've heard from some of your great geniuses that talk to me about this subject. I've heard from Vivek. 175 million people in some form are involved with this world of crypto and Bitcoin and all of the others, 175 million. So when they heard that, they said, let's be nice to them, at least until after the election. So I've taken a lot of pressure off a lot of people. A lot of people are very happy today that about 3 months ago weren't so thrilled. For 3.5 years, is that right? Look, you just said that's right. And you know it's right. For 3.5 years, the current administration has waged a war on crypto and Bitcoin like nobody's ever seen before. For those who work in this industry, they target your banks, they choke off your financial services. Have people seen that? Yes? Yeah, they have. Plenty of hands up. They block ordinary Americans from transferring money to your exchanges. They slander you as criminals. But that happened to me too, because I said the election was rigged. He said the election was rigged. He should spend the rest of his life in jail for making that statement. Of course, they say it about us and it's okay, right? No. And by the way, we're doing very well in the election. We lost a candidate recently, crooked Joe Biden. And I thought we lost this.
Here he goes off
person.
script again.
He's actually a terrible human being, if you want to know the truth, so don't feel sorry. And we have another he's a worse human being, and I sort of made an analogy last night. Last night, think of this, I was speaking in front of a very powerful and very strong, very religious group, Christians, evangelicals, Christians. And then today I come in front of Bitcoin, and now I'm going to Minnesota to do a rally. You think my life is so great, don't you, huh? But I cover a lot of territory. I go from religion to Bitcoin to a rally. And I don't get it mixed up like other people do. Where they come out and they say, may God bless everybody involved in the Bitcoin world. But actually, we mean that because you need blessing, because you've got to do something very spectacular. But we had an incredible time last night talking to Christians, largely Christians, a Christian group. And this is so great. And then we have a very big rally in Minnesota. Hasn't been one since 1972. Richard Nixon, can you believe it?
Trump always goes off script.
I think we're leaving
Always.
Minnesota.
It takes him forever to get through whatever he wants to say.
Minnesota, but I think we're doing good. So we're going to leave here. We're going to go there for a big rally.
Bitcoin
But this is such an honor
dumping
to be
again.
with you. Sadly, when we see the attacks on crypto, it's a
Look at
part
that.
of a much larger pattern that's being carried out by the same left-wing fascists who
Bitcoin
weaponize government
dumping.
against any threat to their power. They've done it to me. Did you see I just won the big case in Florida? Thank you very much. The big case. Thank you very much. Good. Now it's a big case. That was the document case. I have Presidential Records Act on my side. Biden didn't. By the way, Biden, they said, here's what they said. They said, he's guilty as hell, but we're not going to charge him because he's incompetent. I won the case the old-fashioned way. It's called you win. I wouldn't have wanted to win the way he won. Trump won the case because they called him incompetent. Think of this. So they called him incompetent. So he's incompetent
Solana dumping.
to stand trial, but he's not incompetent.
Big liquidations
to run
on
the country. How does that
Solana right
work?
now.
But he's not it anymore because he didn't do particularly well in the debate. Did anybody watch the debate? Not too many people. Somebody said to me,
Whoa.
you did
66.9, 66.8.
There's no way he can continue forward. That's how bad it was. I said, I understand that. And that's exactly what happened, actually. We had a great debate. It was a tremendous debate, actually. And since then, hey, look, you have to open the eyes. You have to see what's going on. We have a country to run. The problem is that Kamala is worse than Joe. She's worse. She's a radical left lunatic, defund the police, all of the different things. And so far she's got a little honeymoon going on right now. But when people hear about her, and she's against crypto, by the way, and she's against it very big. So I just want to let you know, you got to get out. You got to get out and vote.
66.7.
It should be no surprise that these same totalitarians are hell-bent on crushing crypto and obliterating, and that's what they want to do, and that's what they are stated. They're there right now. You have the SEC, you know what they're doing, obliterating Bitcoin. The reason could not be more clear because Bitcoin stands for freedom, sovereignty, and independence from government,
Back on script.
coercion, and control. The Biden-Harris administration's repression of crypto and Bitcoin is wrong, and it's very bad for our country. It's really quite un-American. As you know, 6 days ago, we officially defeated the worst president in the history of the United States. I believe he was the worst president in the history of the United States. Think of it. Millions and millions of people have come into our country.
Doge down a little bit. Not as bad.
Jails. They've come in from, think of it, insane asylums, mental institutions. They've come in as terrorists. We have the largest number of terrorists coming into our country right now. The same people that you just heard about from Israel that did that in Israel, they're coming in and nobody checks them. Nobody knows what's going on. We have no idea what's going on. They've lost control of our country, and only bad things can happen. So it's not going to be that way. We're not going to let that happen. We're beating them, and we're beating them badly, and we have to make sure that
Testing the 200 EMA again on Doge.
And you
Right there.
can't just be a fighter and have your man lose the fight, or woman, but in this case, a man. He's losing the fight.
He goes off
He's down
script
by 15,
all the time.
16, 17 points. They say that you're not going to win, Joe. You got to get out. He didn't want to get out. He said, I'm not getting out. He said, you're getting out. He said, I'm not getting out. I got 14 million votes. I'm not getting out. They said, if you're not getting out, we're going to institute the 25th Amendment on your mental competence.
Eavesdropping.
He said, like I said before,
More liquid. $4 million leveraged long on ETH. Just
and
liquid.
they got him out. But it's like,
Two of
think of this. You fight, you're in a
$4
campaign.
million.
You spend a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of effort, and he's losing. And then they say, let's take him out of the fight. We'll put a new fighter in there. The new fighter is her, probably my second choice. He will always be my first choice, but
Big
she'd be
drop
my
on
second
ETH.
choice. And again, if we don't win this race, and I know
Doge
you're not
down
that
to
political,
13.
but you have to be political because your whole thing, I mean, you have a lot of politics involved in what you do. If we don't win this race, this country could be finished as we know it. This country is going to be in bad shape, and we have to be in there. We have to fight, and we have to win. And I pledge to the Bitcoin community that the day I take the oath of office, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's anti-crypto crusade will be over. It will end. It'll be done. It'll be done. The moment I'm sworn in, the persecution stops and the weaponization ends against your industry. And as long as I'm in the Oval Office, Elizabeth Warren, Pocahontas, do you remember? Yes, I'm an Indian. She said, I'm an Indian. Why are you an Indian? You don't look like an Indian. No, my mother told me I have high cheekbones. Oh, that's why she was an Indian.
Yeah,
So
I agree,
named
Darth
her
Mike.
Pocahontas. Elizabeth Warren and her goons, and she's very nasty to you. She hates your people. She hates everything about you. Will keep their hands off Bitcoin. They're going to keep their hands off crypto. They're going to let it grow. We're going to let it grow. On day one, I will fire Gary Gensler and appoint a new SEC chairman.
That got the big applause.
I didn't know he was that unpopular. Wow. I didn't know he was that unpopular. Let me say it again. On day one, I will fire Gary Gensler. Whoa. I will appoint a new SEC chairman who believes America should build the future, not block the future, which is what they're doing. And Kamala Harris wants to make him Treasury Secretary. That's not good. That's not good. He was Hillary Clinton's finance person. Did you know that? Crooked Hillary. Remember Crooked Hillary? Do you remember her? Anybody remember? He was the finance chairman of Hillary Clinton's campaign against a gentleman known as Donald Trump. Not a popular person within the... Actually,
Nope.
she came to my wedding. Do you know
Gonna
that?
go off script,
The
man.
great First Lady Melania. She came to our wedding, and Bill came to our wedding. But it's amazing things when you run for office, a lot of things change in your life. A lot of things change. As president, I will immediately shut down Operation Choke Point 2.0.
Yes.
They want to choke you. They want to choke you out of business. We're not going to let that happen. And no longer will your government sit by and
Elon's
watch
jet
as
landed
Bitcoin
30 minutes
jobs
ago.
and businesses flee to other countries because America's laws are too unclear and too tough and too angry
In
and
Nashville.
too stiff. We will keep each and every Bitcoin job in the United States of America. That's what we're going to be doing. Upon taking office, I will immediately appoint a Bitcoin and crypto presidential advisory council. Would anybody like to be on
Maybe,
that
Rocky.
particular council? Please raise your hand.
Maybe.
Their task will be to design transparent regulatory guidance for the benefit of the entire industry, and they will get it done in 100 days. We will have regulations, but from now on, the rules will be written by people who love your industry, not hate your industry. People that want to make it clear and simple, straightforward, and fair. People that want to see your industry thrive, not dive. Next, I will immediately order the Treasury Department and other federal agencies to cease and desist all steps necessary because, you know, there's a thing going on in your industry. They want to move the creation of a central bank digital currency. It's over. Forget it. CBDC. There will never be a CBDC while I'm president of the United States. And I will always defend the right to self-custody. Self-custody. You're going to have a great industry. You're going to have a great industry, and we're going to be fuel for your industry, not demolish your industry. America will once again be a nation that protects property rights, privacy, freedom of transaction, freedom of association, and freedom of speech. We're going to go back to the old days when we were a nation that was building, not a nation that was eating itself alive from within. As part of our effort to provide regulatory clarity, we will create a framework to enable the safe, responsible expansion of stable coins. Do you know what a stable coin is? Does anybody know? Please raise your hand. Allowing us to extend the dominance of the US dollar to new frontiers all around the world. America will be richer, the world will be better, and there will be billions and billions of people brought into crypto economy and storing their savings in Bitcoin. So that's pretty much the way it is. Those who say that Bitcoin is a threat to the dollar have the story exactly backwards. I believe it is exactly backwards. Bitcoin is not threatening the dollar. The behavior of the current US government is really threatening the dollar. The danger to our financial future does not come from crypto. It comes from Washington, D.C. It comes from trillions of dollars in waste, rampant inflation, and open borders while giving welfare and free health care to all of the illegal aliens that are pouring into our country by the millions and millions and millions. It comes from printing hundreds of billions of dollars to fund endless wars overseas while our cities are like combat zones here at home. 2 weeks ago in Chicago, 117 people were shot and 17 died. Afghanistan doesn't have anything like that. You know, you think about tough places. Look at what's happening with our cities. What's happening in the last 3 years, last 3.5 years. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. Think of it. 117 over 4th of July weekend. 117 people were shot and 17 died. This is the United States of America? I don't think so. By the way, when I was president, we had no wars. We had no new wars. We didn't start any. Remember when Hillary said, he'll start wars. Look at his personality. No, I said, my personality will keep us out of wars. But we finished off some of the old ones like ISIS, which they said would take 5 years to do, maybe more. We did it in 4 weeks. We beat ISIS in 4, because we have a great military. And it's not a woke military, by the way. Maybe some of the people on top are woke, but this is not a woke. I got to see that first when I looked at what they did and what they did for me. They were unbelievable. They did things that nobody thought were possible.
Bitcoin price still down.
Our real generals and our soldiers, there's no woke. They're trying to get them to be woke, but these people are not going to go woke. I can guarantee you that. With your support this November, we will restore confidence and we will restore common sense to our nation's capital. Because ultimately, it is about, it's not, are you conservative? Are you liberal? Are you progressive? They like progressive. It sounds so nice, right? It'll destroy our country. It's actually become a terrible word. It'll destroy our country. But it's not about that. It's about common sense. We want to bring common sense back in. This is all common sense that we're talking about today. And Bitcoin and crypto will skyrocket.
Doge is probably holding better because of the Elon rumors.
As we stop the war on crypto, we will immediately, and we'll do this very quickly, begin to build our economy, because when America is prospering, Bitcoin is soaring and it'll go up with it. We had the greatest economy ever, and we will soon have it again. Under the Trump administration, the typical middle-class family income rose by $6,000 a year. People don't like mentioning that. America had more money to save than at any time in many decades. As a result, during my 4 years in office, now you have to listen to these numbers. These numbers are like beautiful. And I don't want to repeat myself. Listen to these numbers. As a result, during my 4 years in office, Bitcoin surged by 3,900%, from $898 the day I took office to $35,900 the day I left. That was the biggest jump, I guess, in just about any industry. Think of that. Now compare that to just after 3.5 years of Biden and Harris, adjusted for inflation, Bitcoin is up 50%. Now 50% sounds good, but not when you're comparing it to almost 4,000%. Right? 50%. You know, normally you say, oh, that sounds pretty good. Let's not put that into the speech. No, 50% is not good. When people can't afford groceries or rent, they have no savings to store in Bitcoin. This administration caused the biggest inflation in the history of our country. And that's what's happened. Our people are being wiped out. From the very first day we take back the White House, we will replace the Biden-Harris economic stagnation with a brand new Trump economic boom. You're going to have a tremendous boom. You know, you have a lot of great analysts out there. Scott, I'm talking about you, Scott, one of the greatest of all, and others that say the stock market's going up because they think Trump is going to be elected. And if Trump isn't elected, this country's going to go into a depression, the likes of what you had in 1929, and I hope that's not true, but I can understand it, and I can understand what they're saying. The stock market game, they think, is because it looks like we're going to win the election, and I don't know what's going to happen with the election. You know, they cheat like hell, and I don't know what's going to happen, but if we win it, this country is going to be boomtown. It's going to be booming like it never boomed before. The current administration's economic plan includes trillions in new spending and $5 trillion tax hikes. They want to increase taxes by $5 trillion. They want the expiration of the Trump tax cuts to take place. They want a wealth confiscation tax so that when you make all of your money that you're going to make and all of the people you're going to employ, they want to take away your money in the form of a first-time ever tax and a gigantic capital gains tax that will exceed substantially in many states over 50%. My plan is the opposite. We will lift the workers and we will create savers out of so many people, and we will reward success. We will not punish success. They want to punish success. They want to punish genius. Not going to let that happen. I will make the Trump tax cuts permanent and deliver massive tax cuts for families and individuals and businesses that produce jobs. That includes no tax on tips. You know that, right? Going to get rid of the tax on tips. I will cut unnecessary and burdensome regulations, fight every day to make America the best place on earth to build a business, including a crypto business. It's going to be the best place. You're not going to have to go to China. You're not going to have to learn, gee, how do I learn Chinese? I want to learn it very quickly. I have a little granddaughter that speaks fluent Chinese. Can you believe it? And it's a wonderful thing, but it's not easy, but you're not going to have to do it. Most importantly, for our citizens, we will end the inflation nightmare that this administration has created, and we will end it quickly. It's got to end. It's destroying our country. You know, inflation is a country buster. You can go back many, many years to Germany, and you look at what happened to Germany during their huge period of inflation, destroyed the country. It's a country buster. The Bitcoiners, and I say to you that you recognize the dangers of inflation long before most others did. You understood inflation, frankly, better than anybody else. You know that, don't you? If only they had listened. They didn't listen to you. They didn't listen to you. The trillions of dollars in ridiculous waste approved by our opponents resulted in the very inflation disaster that Bitcoiners had always predicted. 20, 30, and even 40% of the value of every dollar was wiped out and wiped out quickly. You understood that, but a lot of other people didn't. The life savings of millions of Americans was rapidly destroyed. And very simply, uncontrolled inflation is a stealth taxation of the middle class. It really is. It's a stealth taxation. I call it the Biden tax. Now I call it the Harris tax or the Harris-Biden tax or whatever the hell we're going to call that. But it's a disaster. It's a tax of 50%. It's a 50% tax. Inflation, think of it. It's a 50% tax on people, 5-0. This is a human tragedy, and it's destroyed people. It's a national disgrace. It's destroyed everything in its way. It must never be allowed to happen again, and it won't. When I'm president, I guarantee you it won't happen because we're going to do things that make sure it doesn't happen. They've allowed pricing to get totally out of control. We're going to do energy, bring it down to levels that people have not seen in many, many years. We had it at levels. We were at $1.87 for a gallon of gasoline. You don't see that right now. For 4 straight years, under my leadership, we had effectively no inflation, none. When I left office, it was 1.4%, and then it stayed there for almost 2 years. Remember when Biden said it was 9, I inherited 9%. That was just another lie. Misinformation, disinformation. We gave them a hot country. We went through the COVID. We did an incredible job. Never got credit for that. Always got credit for the economy, for the military. We rebuilt the military. We created Space Force. We did so many different things. Never got credit for that. You know what? We gave them a great country with essentially no inflation. And after 2 years,
Dogecoin's still holding up better than Bitcoin.
Inflation through the roof. 2 years, cost of living went up in some cases by over 50%. They say 22%. They like to say 22, but it could be much higher, and it is much higher depending on what they include. They don't include things like interest rates that went from 2.5% to 10%, but you can't get the money. When I return to the White House, I will stop the wild and wasteful spending of this administration. I will end the endless wars. They never stop. Again, we had no wars. We had no new wars under your favorite president, President Trump. We had no new wars. They thought I was going to start a war. Let me tell you something. I'm going to stop World War III because we're closer to World War III than we've ever been since the end of World War II. I will seal the border and stop the invasion of millions of people pouring into our country.
This is his whole stump speech now.
Defeat, and we will do this quickly. We will defeat inflation, and together we will bring back the American dream for citizens of every race, religion.
Of course, George would say that.
Bring it back, the American dream. You don't even hear the statement American dream anymore. You don't hear those words anymore. We used to talk about the American dream.
It's kind of the point where I just can't believe anything George says anymore.
Don't elect me. I hate to tell you. You don't elect me, you're going to be crushed. You're going to say, Alice, what a mistake it was. We went for a person who has no talent. She's been a failure at almost everything she's done instead of Trump. And look at us now. We're going to move into an extremely small house from our beautiful house. But we will end the war on American energy, and we will very simply drill, baby, drill. We're going to drill, baby, drill. We have to. It's what we have. We have more liquid gold under our feet than any nation in the world, more than Saudi Arabia, more than Russia. We don't use it. We don't use it. They use it. We don't use it. We go out and buy oil from Venezuela.
If his speechwriters are good,
But we won't stop
there's a
there.
good
We will
thing at the
harness
end
American
for
energy
Bitcoin.
in all forms. I have
If his
set the
speechwriters are
ambitious goal
good.
that by the end of my term, the United States will be the #1 lowest cost of energy and electricity of any nation on earth. We can make it so inexpensively. Because of what we have under our feet, we can make it so inexpensively. And with low energy costs, America will become the world's undisputed Bitcoin mining powerhouse. You'll be a Bitcoin mining powerhouse. You will not have to move your family to China. You will not be moving to China. As we implement these reforms, Bitcoin and crypto will grow our economy, cement American financial dominance, and strengthen our entire country long into the future. Many Americans do not realize that the United States government is among the largest holders of Bitcoin. Does anyone know that? How about that? The federal government is almost
Look at Bitcoin going up now.
10,000 Bitcoin, or 1% of the total supply
Look at
that
that.
will ever exist. But for too long, our government has violated the cardinal rule
Whoa.
that every Bitcoiner knows by heart. Never sell your Bitcoin, right? That's right, isn't it, huh? That's right. How did I figure that one? Never sell your Bitcoin. And so, as the final part of my plan today, I am announcing that if I am elected, it will be the policy of my administration, United States of America, to keep 100% of all the Bitcoin the U.S. government currently holds or acquires into the future. We'll keep 100%. I hope you do well, please. This will serve in effect as the core of the strategic national Bitcoin stockpile. As you know,
There it is.
As you know, most of the Bitcoin currently held by the United States government was obtained through law enforcement action. You know that they took it from you. Let's take that guy's life. Let's take his family, his house, his Bitcoin. We'll turn it into Bitcoin. It's been taken away from you because that's where we're going now. That's where this country is going. It's a fascist regime. And so as I take steps to transform that vast wealth into a permanent national asset to benefit all Americans, today I repeat my pledge to commute the sentence of Ross Ulbricht to a sentence of time served. It's enough. It's enough. That's where we are as a country. Ultimately, my promise to each and every one of you is this: I will be the pro-innovation and pro-Bitcoin president that America needs and our citizens deserve. This will be one industry, but this will be a thriving industry, a great industry, and I'm going to be doing the same thing for every other industry also. Our nation has never thrived by trying to censor new ideas and shut down the dreams of our people. America always plants our flag on the next frontier and pushes boldly ahead. We have to do that. We haven't been doing that for a long time, especially the last 3.5 years. It's gone the exact opposite. Those of you in this room inherit the legacy of generations of American pioneers and patriots, risk takers and renegades who settled this continent, built the modern world, and lived on the bleeding edge. You live on a bleeding edge. You do know that, Bitcoiners.
I know.
don't you?
Look at the up and down
You are
action
modern
today.
day Edisons and Wright brothers and Carnegies and Henry Fords, and what you do in your lifetime stands a chance to outlive us all and inspire humanity for generations to come. This will go down as a very important day in the history of your industry. Together, you are building America's future with your own smarts, your own grit, and your own skin in the game. You have a lot of skin in the game, and that's what you're doing. It takes courage to do it. Most people don't have that courage. My job will be to set you free and to let you do what Americans do best and what you're going to do better than anybody.
I know, Rocky.
Win,
That'd be awesome.
win. You're going to win. With energy, passion, and brilliance like we have rarely seen before, our country cannot fail. We're a failing nation right now, but we're not going to be for long. Our country cannot fail. With your help, we will save our nation, we will restore our republic, and we will make America and Bitcoin bigger, better, stronger, richer, freer, and greater than ever before. Thank you all. Have a good time with your Bitcoin and your crypto and everything else that you're playing with. And we're going to make that one of the greatest industries on earth. Good luck and God bless you all. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you.
All right, the former president there, Donald Trump, wrapping up in Nashville, speaking for about a little less than 15 minutes right there, as he is now going to travel from Nashville and head to Minnesota for his rally with Senator J.D. Vance, his VP candidate right there. So it's going to be a busy evening.
Where's the special guest? Where's the special guest? Let's see if we can go back to the Bitcoin magazine site, right? Cynthia Loomis is going to come on. Yeah.
Magazine. I'm your host, Pete Rizzo, editor of Bitcoin Magazine. You just saw history. The 45th president of the United States, Donald J. Trump, making history in addressing the Bitcoin industry. We got some quotes from him. In 15 years, Bitcoin has gone from an idea to the 9th most valuable asset in the world. Stay tuned. Cynthia Loomis now taking the main stage. We're told she has even a bigger announcement. Take a look.
Donald Trump, here it is. This is the Bitcoin Reserve Bill. I'm reading from the text. In the Senate of the United States, to establish a Bitcoin strategic reserve, a network of secure storage vaults, purchase program, and other programs to ensure the transparent management of Bitcoin holdings of the federal government. My name is Cynthia Loomis. and I'm the Bitcoin senator. When Satoshi Nakamoto, in January of 2009, mined the first Bitcoin, he brought about an asset that will change the world. And this is our Louisiana Purchase moment.
Bitcoin responding better to Cynthia Lummis than Donald Trump.
This Bitcoin reserve that we're going to create will start with the 210,000 Bitcoin that President Trump just mentioned and pull it into a reserve stored in geographically diverse vaults. And that's only the beginning. Over 5 years, the United States will assemble 1 million Bitcoin, 5% of the world's supply. And it will be held for a minimum of 20 years and can be used for one purpose: reduce our debt.
I don't know what state. She's a senator,
This Bitcoin is
U.S.
going to be
senator who has
transformative
been the
for
most
this country.
pro-Bitcoin,
As President
pro-crypto.
Trump just said, we are printing too much money. We are spending too much money. We printed in 22 months during COVID the same amount of money that had ever been printed in the history of the United States.
State of Wyoming.
Well, no more. With a strategic Bitcoin reserve, we will have an asset that in that period of time before 2045 can cut our debt in half. And as Michael Saylor said yesterday, if we put $3.3 million in a Bitcoin reserve, we will eliminate the United States debt. We will be debt-free because of Bitcoin. This asset is transforming.
You set high sell limits. If it doesn't happen, so what? You know, you never know what's going to happen,
the
Davey.
global leader, as President Trump just said. And you know what? We don't have to raise taxes to do it. We have the funds now. This bill provides that not only will the asset forfeiture money be transferred into this reserve, fulfilling President Trump's promise that he won't sell any Bitcoin, but we will convert excess reserves at our 12 Federal Reserve banks into Bitcoin over 5 years. We have the money now. But we'll no longer be holding it in US dollars, an asset that is designed to debase at least 2% per year. We'll be holding it in an asset that will grow in value, that throughout its history has grown 55% per year. This is the solution. This is the answer. This is our Louisiana Purchase.
I don't know if Elon's coming.
Thank you, Bitcoin.
They said special guest.
It's your love of freedom, your innovation, your thoughtful design, your keeping this asset alive, well, free, and in support of individual sovereignty that is going to save America. Let's make America free again, Bitcoin. This is our present to the United States of America. Thank you.
So what are the chances of a bill like that actually passing the House and the Senate? Would only happen if the Republicans
Welcome back to the Mara News
actually
Desk,
won
powered by Bitcoin Magazine. I'm your host, Pete Rizzo, editor of Bitcoin
each house.
Magazine. We've got a packed panel here to react to even more news. It's pouring out here in Nashville, Tennessee. To my far left, Frank Corva, lead business reporter at Bitcoin Magazine. Alan Helm in the middle, and Matt Odell of 1031 Ventures. Guys, Cynthia Lummis, the Bitcoin Reserve Bill, strategic reserve, talking about a network of reserves that will ensure the transparent holdings of the federal government's Bitcoin. They want to hold Bitcoin for 20 years. Cynthia talking about the Federal Reserve System converting its excess reserves into Bitcoin. Matt.
I mean, I think that is absolutely massive. I think it will take people a little bit to realize what a big deal that is. I think it's great for the country. I mean, I think it's obviously great for people that are holding Bitcoin as well, because it should increase the adoption of Bitcoin substantially. And last but not least, I would say, you know, I have a great relationship with Senator Lummis, Senator Blackburn, who's coming on next.
Yeah, Trump's speech wasn't anywhere near as good as RFK Jr.'s speech.
And I would just say that at the local level, it is incredibly impressive how our politicians are thinking about moving this country forward, and it's inspiring to see.
Well, Lummis with the big Y here, reducing our debt. Frank Allen, your take on the government could buy Bitcoin as a way to solve the debt crisis.
Alan, I'll kick it over to you.
Yeah, well, I mean, first off, let's just talk about the energy in that room. I mean, it's very, very clear, Matt, you're talking about the local level, but at the federal level, and I mean, this really all kicked off in May when Trump made very pro-Bitcoin comments at the Libertarian National Convention. We're 3 months out from that. All of a sudden, we're talking about Bitcoin as part of the U.S. Strategic Reserve. I mean, it's hard not to be bullish.
Well, I say gradually, then subtly, but is this real, Frank? Do you
Jasmine's
think
still
that this
holding up.
proposal can actually be passed? Can it be enacted? Is this just hopium?
Stacks took a
This is a
dip.
good question. I think Lummis was the right person to deliver it. She's been pro-Bitcoin for a long time now. So if they were going to choose someone, a senator, to do this, I think Lummis was absolutely the right person. Is it hopium? We don't know. You know, at the same time, we're not here necessarily to pander to politicians, but we are here to celebrate when they do sort of see what we see and when they're going to take action.
Well, of course, we saw history with the 45th President of the United States before. We'll be back to connect the dots between this Lummis announcement and Trump's historic speech, sending it back to the Nakamoto stage. We've got another packed panel of Vivek Ramaswamy and more. Stay tuned. It's Bitcoin 2024.
Hello, everybody. We are going to be talking about Bitcoin and the future of American democracy. I'm here with U.S. Senator Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee and Vivek Ramaswamy. Well, first of all, I'd love to get your reactions to what President Trump just said, as well as Senator Cynthia Lummis talking about having a strategic Bitcoin reserve for the United States. This is a historic moment here in Tennessee.
It is indeed a historic moment, and I am so thrilled that President Trump has become the first presidential candidate to actually have a Bitcoin platform. I think that that is so significant.
Except for RFK Jr.
And what you're going to see from those of us in the Senate, once President Trump is inaugurated, is a push to make certain that those of you that are involved in Bitcoin have the energy that you need, low cost, affordable, stable energy, so that you can do your Bitcoin mining. Another thing you're going to see us do is make certain that you can self-custody, and you're going to see us get the federal government off your back, out of your blue wallets, and let you control your life and have that freedom of transaction that Bitcoin allows.
So I want to make an observation about President Trump's speech, and I think it was historic, not just because he gave that speech and it's in the interests of the people in this room. That's not why he made the commitments he did. He made the commitments he did because it's in the interests of the United States of America and the values that this country was founded on. And there is a difference. I think that if our founding fathers were alive today, they would have endorsed every one of the things that Donald Trump just said on that stage. It is part of a deeper cancer in this country where you think about.
So why did they hype a special guest? And the time to bring out the special guest would have been
the people who were
right after Donald Trump
to
stopped
run the
speaking.
government, who are actually writing rules that are affecting not only every one of you, but every American. I think what you're going to get out of that second Trump term isn't there to go around and just mess around the edges of it. We want to get in there and actually shut that down. That's how you revive this country, put that regulatory state in its place. You know, one of the things that we didn't necessarily hear from today, but I want to see become part of this conversation is every time one of these administrative agencies, you know, the SEC was discussed today, pursues an action that they end up losing in federal court, there's still people through hell in the process. You know what? If you lose it, you pay. And to actually have accountability in the government for the cases they actually bring, so it's not a one-sided crusade, but there's actually accountability once and for all for the people who are actually making hell for American citizens. And I think that's where this conversation is going.
We've heard President Trump talk about how he wants America to be first. What's at stake if another country adopts Bitcoin before us?
So look, I think, go ahead, Marsha. Now you have your thoughts on
No,
it.
you go ahead on that, and then I'll follow.
So look, I think that the United States of America was founded on the unapologetic pursuit of excellence. Excellence is our heritage. It is in our DNA as a country. And so what I think is at stake for the United States of America is really shame. The idea that we, through self-harm, constrained ourselves from achieving the maximum of what is possible in Bitcoin or in any other arena is, I think, a stain on our country. When we rallied behind the cry to make America great again, it was not just Donald Trump that we hungered for. It was for the unapologetic pursuit of excellence. That is who we are as Americans. That is our heritage. That is our identity. That's what's at stake in this room, right? When you say Bitcoin to the moon, you know, I know many people just want the value of their holding to go up, and that's fine. But I think it is a statement of a deeper point of American
Vivek, it's
exception.
Dogecoin to the moon. Come on.
Unbounded,
Get it
the
right.
unbridled, the unafraid, the people who would not be constrained to achieve the maximum of our potential without any government or system standing in our way. That's what our founding fathers envisioned. And I think that culture, it has been domesticated, it has been tamed, it has been whipped into submission by this new culture that penalizes excellence and celebrates
66,000
victimhood. Well, that
Bitcoin
inner animal has now left
to buy it
oceans
on
to
that
lift
dip
up
there.
places
That
like
was pretty
China.
good.
And so, yes, when we
Anybody
say
who
make
bought down
America
here.
great again, what we want is to unleash that inner beast, unleash that inner animal spirit. And that's the animal spirit that I know motivates those of you in this room to achieve what you do. And that's what we're going to unleash again in January of next year.
Yes, and I think as you look at what President Trump was saying and adding on to what Vivek is saying,
Bitcoin's still going
what
back
we
up.
realize is that there is a new axis of evil. It is Russia, China, Iran, North Korea. And we understand and fully appreciate if
Yeah, the Doge
America
dip
is
was
not
down here to
first
13
in
cents.
this
Just touched
innovation,
it.
then the
Came back up.
innovation is going to go to whomever is first, whomever has the lowest barrier to entry. And we don't want that innovation, those bright minds, to leave our shores. We want those bright minds to be here. Likewise, that also means getting the federal government out of your way. And one of the things you will see from President Donald Trump is going to
We're going to
be
hold on here and
to work with us in the
see who
Senate
comes up
and in the
next.
House
See if there is
to
this special
rein
guest.
in the federal government, to right size these agencies, and to make certain that we're getting rid of a lot of these unnecessary rules and regulations and bureaucrats who spend their time shuffling paper and never answering the questions that we, the people, have of those agencies, whether it's the SEC, the FDIC, the IRS. So if you're going to open doors of opportunity,
Hellman, I think it was just
means you remove the
Trump
obstacles.
giving more
And
of a
I
political
think we
speech.
have
He did have
certainly
some
defined what many of those
good things about
obstacles
Bitcoin,
are.
but I think it was
Let's talk a little bit
hyped
about
up more than that.
transactional freedom. Yesterday, a lot of the people who came to the Bitcoin conference heard Edward Snowden say that America is the only advanced democracy that doesn't have a data privacy law. What are you going to do to prevent financial surveillance and really allow for transactional freedom?
Natalie, I'm so glad you brought that up, because since 2012, I have had legislation that would establish a national federal preemption on data privacy and allow you, the individual, to own what I call your virtual you, which is you and your presence online. Now, as we look at the expansion of Bitcoin and of crypto, as we look at the growth of AI,
so far,
as we look
Portia.
at the speeds with quantum,
Yep.
what do
Buy
we
the
know?
rumor, sell the news.
If you're going to have AI, if you're going to have transactional freedom, you have to
But
have a national,
it's coming right back
federally
up.
preemptive data privacy and data security law, so that you have the right to own your presence online, and you have the right to shield that from being
Now
used
they're
to
starting to
train
liquidate new
large
short positions that were
language
just open.
models. And our hope is that with Republicans in control
So
of
while
the
the
Senate
price was
Commerce
going
Committee,
down,
we will be able to
new
disrupt,
shorters opened
pass,
up positions
and have
down
President
here,
Trump sign
thinking
into
the
law
price would continue
a
to dump.
national data
And instead,
privacy
the price
standard.
turned around and is now
And I should say, these
liquidating
are-
some of those new shorts.
Notice everything about Marsha's comments. These are not particularly partisan issues, right? And he mentioned the Republicans, and that's what's going to be required in a new majority after January. But this is not a Republican or Democrat issue, and it certainly shouldn't be. Same goes for the opposition to a central bank digital currency. What was the most popular argument for the adoption of one? And this is all about surveillance too, by the way.
Yeah, I saw that, Portia,
Most
about
popular
the
argument is that
emojis,
China's doing
the
what they're doing
hash
with Yuan,
flags.
and so we have to do it in the United States to keep up with the Joneses.
There's been a
or
lot of
keep up with the
speculation
whatever
about why that
whatever the case
was.
may be. You have to step back and ask yourself why China is adopting
I don't
a central
know
bank
for
digital
sure.
currency or taking steps to adopt one, is to implement a surveillance state by force that otherwise would not have been able to be implemented without that central bank digital currency. So I do think that these should transcend partisanship. I also want to make a prediction this year about the election because of this. I think there's a good number of people across the United States of America who will not say that they're going to vote for Donald Trump or for a Republican this year, but who absolutely stand for financial freedom. They call themselves single issue voters in crypto. And I think one of the things I've found in the tech world, crypto world, Bitcoin world is when you say you're a single issue voter, effectively that means you're voting for Trump this cycle and you don't want to just pronounce it in so many words. So my empirical prediction here is I think the polls are actually off by about at least 1%. I think whatever the polls look like, you can add 1% of it, and that's the way you're going to adjust it. If that prediction proves right this November, you can call that the Bitcoin bump or the crypto bump this November, because I do think when you look at the number of people who are actually using or adopting Bitcoin or crypto into your portfolio, who understand the assault on that by the regulatory state today through the back door, not even through the front door, I think we now have a clear choice between the two major candidates of who's going to be the right one to get that job done. And I think it's, Natalie, I think probably for the first time in history, going to have a measurable, palpable impact on the outcome of this election relative to the polling that you now see. And so that'll be a prediction I'll make today.
Yeah, and if I can add one thing on the CBDC, this is something that as China started to push the digital yuan when Beijing hosted the Olympics, some of us stepped forward to make certain that our U.S. athletes were shielded from that because of the surveillance that is built into that. And as CBDC leads to that social credit score, it leads to the government telling you
She's
how
the
you can
U.S.
and
Senator
cannot
from the state of
spend your
Tennessee,
money.
Marsha
And you
Blackburn.
know, Natalie, I think we all remember in 2022 when the Canadian government shut down the bank accounts of people that weren't willing to mask. And then you had the trucker strike and they shut down bank accounts. the federal government ought not to be messing with your transactional life. You want that freedom.
Yeah, that event minted a lot of Bitcoiners. Vivek, I'm glad you brought up bipartisanship, because one thing a lot of Bitcoiners love is that Bitcoin is a neutral currency, that it is apolitical. What if some people are watching this out there in their
Cardano's
homes
back
in America,
up. Solana.
and they
Look at
see President
Solana.
Trump embracing Bitcoin, and now they see it as something that's going to be
Look at
used
Solana
as a
take off.
conservative tool, that maybe they should oppose it just because the other side is embracing it. What do you say?
Even Harmony
Should
won.
Bitcoin be apolitical and bipartisan?
Yeah, so absolutely.
Let's go.
In fact, this goes back to America's heritage. Alexis de Tocqueville traveled this country, over a century and a half ago. And one of the things he said is that the United States of America isn't actually supposed to last. The land is too expansive. It's too diverse in terms of the ethnic heritage of people. There's too much religious diversity. This isn't supposed to last unless there are certain, what he called intermediary institutions that are apolitical, that you preserve from the sphere of partisan politics. And that's the sports of this country, the private sector of this country, the philanthropic institutions, but I would put Bitcoin in that category as well, where once that itself becomes politicized, then that, I think, is the beginning of the end. Listen really carefully to what you heard from President Trump. I know that was not delivered off the cuff, okay? Every one of those commitments he made were well thought out, and I think if he took the trouble, believe me on this, if he took the trouble of vetting it to say that it's going to go into that speech you heard today, he really means it and stands behind it. None of that involved the weaponization of a new tool to advance conservative ends. Sure, are there going to be some people who say that, hey, the right thing to do is to co-opt these administrative agencies and use them to advance conservative ends rather than progressive goals? Maybe some people who advocate for that, and they're entitled to their view. But I think what we stand for is when we hopefully win this election and take over in January of 2025, we don't want to co-opt those three-letter agencies or the regulatory state. We just want to get in there and shut it down for everybody. Left, right, center, doesn't matter. That's how you revive the country on principle. And so, yes, do we want to keep it neutral? You're darn right. Capitalism is neutral. Capitalism is what unites us across our otherwise partisan differences. It's been politicized, I would argue, in the other direction. But the right answer there isn't to fight fire with fire. In this case, it is to fight fire with water. And that is how you actually preserve what our founding fathers envisioned in 1776.
Let's talk a little bit about the American dream. It's been lost for so many people. It's been on the decline. And
Welcome to the Mara News Desk, powered by Bitcoin
Yeah,
Magazine.
even
Once
they're
again, I'm
cutting
your
away
host,
from
Kriss,
it.
editor of Bitcoin Magazine. Hours ago, we watched history happen, or just an hour ago, we watched history happen when the 45th president of the United States, Donald Trump, took the stage,
Bitcoin
unveiling
up.
a slew of
Look at Algorand. Even Algorand
here on the desk.
moving
a
up.
new power panel. To my left, David Zell of the Bitcoin Policy Institute.
Yep, Doge
To his
is
left,
just
Jack
in the
Mallard,
green.
CEO of Strike. And
just
we've got
holding
Matt
on.
Hines, also the Bitcoin Policy Institute. Going to
Yeah,
rip through some
yeah.
headlines from Donald J. Trump's speech. Bitcoin will be approaching silver and gold,
recovering.
and one day it will overtake gold. Quote, there's never been anything like it. Quote, day one promised to fire Gary Gensler. In the first 100
else
days, he
moved
said
up?
the rules for the Bitcoin and
Jasmine
crypto industry will
stayed
be written
up.
by people who, quote,
Jasmine just
love
never
the
dropped.
industry, freedom of transaction, freedom of association, freedom of speech, safe, responsible expansion of stable coins,
Stacks came right back
the
up.
threat to the dollar that Bitcoin poses. And he said the danger is
Ave
not
is
from
up.
crypto, but from Washington, D.C. And of course, the big headline, committing to not selling 200,000 Bitcoin that the U.S. government owns. His quote, never sell your Bitcoin. Want to go to the panel reacting to Donald Trump's speech. Thoughts to the floor. Who were there? You were all there watching history happen.
We were, Jack.
You want me to go?
Yeah.
All right, here's my complete take.
What do you got to say,
I
Jack?
think there's a lot of media talking about, is this strong dollar? Is this weak dollar? Is the government going to speculatively attack the dollar and reprice the dollar against Bitcoin? What I heard up there is this is neutral dollar from both. I'm combining Trump and Lummis. I think my personal takeaway is if they execute and follow through on this. So everything that was said is still speculative because he's not elected and in office. This announcement and the combination and the bill proposed by Lummis, if this is followed through, I put this on par for a U.S. economic announcement to 71 and Nixon.
Wow.
I do. I think the takeaway for me in the massive difference, if you think 1971 economic announcement, if you think 2008, all the economic announcements, those had negative connotations. Those were out of desperation. This is a progressive announcement, right? This is an announcement.
Pump to unwind a Nixon shock.
This is an announcement. He talked about jobs. He talked about energy. He talked about industry. This is an announcement.
Who's the special guest?
growth,
See, people in their chat are even
about
still asking.
future. This is an
Who's the
announcement
special
of the United States
guest?
of America on offense.
Yeah.
I think it's
When
that
comes
big
the
of an
special
announcement.
guest?
But in 71, we were on defense. And I think Bitcoin is freedom, it's optimism, it's innovation. So I think it's very American. I think the fact that you got 2 presidential candidates and a senator proposing such a bill is a huge deal. Unfortunately, I mean, I even am going to have to check Twitter and say, like, wait, what did each of them say? But that's
Who's
my
the
takeaway.
special
It's not
guest?
anti-dollar, it's not
Special
pro-dollar, it's
guest.
not
Everybody
spreading
wants to
attacking
know.
dollar. It's neutral dollar. It's pro-America.
Ugh.
It's us being on offense. That's my take.
David, Matt, Jack saying this is history.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think there was a lot said, but if you
I love the
strip
orange
away
tie,
the
dude.
Sort of showmanship, the normal Trump speech. I mean, just the distilled policy points that Trump communicated. It'd be hard to ask for anything else. I mean, he talked about defending the right to self-custody, the right to mine. He talked about Bitcoin and stablecoins strengthening the dollar, pledge to commute Ross's sentence. I mean, I'm not sure there's a single sort of concrete policy ask of the Bitcoin community that he didn't firmly commit to. So yeah, I mean, I thought it was historic, and I was impressed by the level of sort of techne in terms of the actual policy promises. They were sort of sandwiched in there. You had to sort of be listening. But I mean, if there were a wish list that I had before that speech,
I agree, Pink Panther.
box unchecked.
It is big.
Back, Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
I think it was
candidate on stage
hyped
yesterday
up a little
promising to buy
more.
4 million Bitcoin, promising to remove taxation on crypto and Bitcoin
But just
purchases.
on the
Matt's
surface.
reaction, how did it stack up, Donald's speech?
It's
Well, I think that was sending a certain signal, right, that he was going to want
it's a good thing for cryptocurrencies and particularly Bitcoin.
really strategic.
It's
from
huge.
The standpoint of anyone else around the world, especially other capitals that have to pay attention when a potential future president makes such a strategic potential shift in how the United States approaches Bitcoin. I think, folks in the hall, I think about it from the lens of what does it mean for Bitcoin? But I think national leaders around the world and other key decision makers are going to have to think about what this could mean for them. What sorts of
I don't think so, Douglas.
that might entail.
You can't call those lies, right? They're campaign promises. Does he follow through on everything he said or not?
So I think that was a pretty substantial, announcement from the standpoint of the folks in the room. But it could have even larger consequences as we go into the future of Trump.
Of course, the headline I think that's going to emanate here is the strategic Bitcoin reserve. So want to talk about that specific policy proposal. Obviously, the U.S. government owns Bitcoin. Trump has vowed not to sell that Bitcoin. David, would love your thoughts. Is this possible? Is this something he could actually achieve if he was elected?
I mean, I think it's something that he can achieve during the 4 years he's president if he's elected. Sort of any permanence to that policy, I believe, would require an act of Congress.
Yeah, so he can use authorities under the 1934 Gold Act to take existing funds in the Exchange Stabilization Fund, which gives the Treasury Secretary discretion to stabilize the dollar by making purchases of gold, foreign exchange, or other securities or credits. So the Treasury Secretary could probably just use a legal opinion to designate Bitcoin as foreign exchange. There's only, maybe $37 billion in the Treasury, exchange stabilization.
Doge not happy.
Starter position.
Bitcoin's still going up.
To 1 million
Look at
Bitcoin,
that.
which is the Lummis bill.
Look at
That would be
Bitcoin go.
a much harder task. Just the announcement could probably lead to a runaway in the price, and it might be hard to catch up.
I want to talk about his messaging to the industry. Of course, we've got a great entrepreneur on the stage right now. I'm talking about Jack Mallers. Jack, as an industry scion who's moved some of your operations abroad because of the current administration, what is your impression of Donald Trump's messaging here?
We're bullish. We're bullish. But, hopefully this answers your question, but I think the profound takeaway is I think Donald Trump, I think RFK, I think Senator Lummis, I think the United States of America needs Bitcoin more than Bitcoin needs them. I think we all need Bitcoin more than Bitcoin needs us, right? And in my opinion, Good times create weak men. Weak men create hard times. Hard times create strong men. Strong men create great times. I think that's a lot of what we're living through in the United States of America. However, when I think of the strong men that were born out of incredibly tough times, like 71 in the divorce from gold standard, like in 2008, when you think of the strong men that
All
were
right,
born out of
Douglas,
these
we got
tough
it.
times, maybe you think of
We
Roman
got your opinion.
gladiators on a horse, right? I think of Satoshi Nakamoto. Let me bring to light what is accomplished here, the power of the people to get presidential
Jonesing, he
candidates
finished.
to come up and look me, a 30-year-old American entrepreneur, and
About
they
half
tell
an hour ago.
I'm going to keep you in business. I'm going to support your industry. I'm going to back our deficits and our debt with a hard asset. I'm excited.
On this
and I think
stream,
the
you can just
takeaway is a
you can just
very
pull it
strong
back,
men were born on a hard times, and there's an American revolution.
about
But these strong
45
men
minutes in, he started
don't have
speaking.
faces, don't have swords, don't have guns. This isn't about human blood. This is cryptography. These are cypherpunks, strong
I know.
men.
Can you believe that,
creating
Pink
amazing
Panther?
times for this country.
I think they
And the
had
power of the
to. I
people
think
is
there
that
was
these
some German
politicians had to
law
come
that
serve
required
us
them
at this conference, come to our territory,
make that
speak
sale,
our
but
language,
they
support
couldn't
our
keep it any
businesses.
longer.
I think
That's
it's
what
a
I
huge
heard.
deal. So again, we'll have
I
to
didn't
see
research
what
it in any
happens.
detail.
But that's the profound
what I heard,
takeaway is
that
I
there
started
was
my company
some
4 years
German
ago. And to sit and watch the
regulation
leading presidential candidate
that
come
required
to
them
my
to
conference
sell
that I've
that
been to every year and tell me how he's going to support me. I mean, come on.
That's got to feel good.
I think I'm proud to be an American right now.
Coming up on a short break, of course, I think the question that people are going to be asking, is this the most historic moment we've seen at Bitcoin conference? I know, Jack, you made history at Bitcoin 2021 when the first nation, El Salvador, went on a Bitcoin standard and announced it at this conference. How does it stack up? You were in the room for both historic moments.
Listen, it's not competition. I'm not going to do that. What I will take this opportunity to protect President Bukele. I think he's gotten unfortunate, maybe some miscommunication, but some slander nonetheless. I think the Salvadoran people and El Salvador as a country are heroes. It's hard, it's impossible to say that we wouldn't be here without them, but I don't think it's also unfair to say that. I think that it's unbelievably brave what they've done.
4-hour
I
chart.
think we're all forever indebted to a country that was willing to be
Just
that
has a
brave
big wick down.
despite no one else willing to take that leap. So
And right
where it
back
stacks
up.
up, it's not going to be my place. I think that's you guys. You're the analyst, brother. But I do think that Bukele deserves a lot of credit, and I hope Bitcoiners know that we have his back.
Unpacking history here at the Mara News Desk.
Yeah, Serena,
Former
I agree.
President Donald J. Trump speaking at a Bitcoin conference, making history. We'll be right back at the analyst desk after these messages. Stay with us.
This is just the this is just sort of an immediate response to what Trump was talking about when he went into his whole politics mode. The price dropped. So, because he was doing a lot of his stump speech stuff thrown in there, and I also think a lot of this was market makers, shorters, opening big short positions and shorting it down. There was a lot of that. So this dip and then recovery back up, fine, great. I don't know who the special guest is. They talked about a special guest and now they just completely shut up about it. They haven't talked about it since Trump started speaking. So I don't know. Yeah, I think there was a big difference between RFK Jr.'s speech and Trump's speech. When RFK was speaking, you knew that he knew what he was talking about, where Trump was reading it off a teleprompter. And particularly the response when Trump said that he would fire Gary Gensler, he wasn't expecting that. A huge response from the crowd. And that got Trump's attention. So much so he said it again. I thought that was interesting. So if there was any good takeaway, that was it right there. That was the big one, was that. But to have a candidate who is, leading in the polls and having this stance on cryptocurrency is a good thing. It's a good thing. Some may say this is just politics and he's saying these things to get votes. I don't know.
Again to history made here as President 45 Donald J. Trump delivers a historic speech to the Bitcoin conference here in Nashville, Tennessee. On the desk to unpack everything that was said, we've got Matt Pines, Jack Mallers, and David Zell. The question, of course, now that we've heard the policy proposal from Cynthia Lummis is this a speculative attack on the dollar? Is this the United States of America using Bitcoin to attack the dollar? David, Jack, your thoughts?
No. And I think it's actually really important that we break down what was proposed. From my understanding, what Senator Lummis just proposed is she's going to take the seized coins and move it into Treasury. That's over 200,000 coins. And then she wants the excess reserves at the 12 Fed banks to be used to purchase up to 1 million Bitcoins over the next 5 years. The reason I think that's significant is they are not printing new currency to buy Bitcoin. As much as bullish as we might be on that, that's very dangerous to the American people, right? If you want it, like, how high would inflation be? Well, if inflation's measured by BTC USD, it would be thousands of percent. So the middle and lower class would be unbelievably destroyed if they did that. And that was the concern, is Trump going to print dollars and speculatively attack our own currency, the world reserve currency? And so I think it's very clever, this proposal, is all the excess reserves are in gold. That gold is marked at $35 an ounce. It's not marked to market. If they're able to mark that gold to market, there's an extreme excess of reserves at these Fed banks. And I think what Lummis wants and what this country wants is let's build a strong reserve with that excess. Let's transition some of that out of a metal scrap and into digital gold, into harder assets. I think that's the progressive approach. That was my interpretation, which again leaves it neutral dollar for now, bullish Bitcoin, neutral dollar, pro-America. And I think that's what Trump and Lummis want out of this proposal.
Matt, David, your thoughts? Buying Bitcoin, good for the dollar? How do you explain that to folks in Washington?
Yeah, I think there's two kind of key mechanisms by which Bitcoin strengthening as a financial asset and a mutual reserve asset for the world strengthens U.S. national security interests. The first is sort of the dollar stablecoin nexus, right? To the extent that Bitcoin goes up, the demand for dollar-based stablecoins goes up. Dollar-based stablecoins.
Yeah, Doge still lagging.
Creates a sort of synergistic, positive relationship between Bitcoin, dollar-based stablecoins, the power of the dollar,
Cardano?
and demand for our debt. The second is a little bit more.
Hasn't completely recovered back up yet from this morning.
The sort of shock absorber for global foreign
it'll get there.
Run by our adversaries, buying up our scarce assets and leading
Solana moved up quite a bit.
The atrophy of our defense industrial base. Bitcoin sort of redirects those foreign surpluses into an asset that doesn't have those pathological second order effects on our political economy and our defense and industrial system, but also leads to the monetization of a novel.
But overall, on the 4-hour chart, we had a big move up
or that we happen to hold
over the past couple days,
a plurality,
and
so,
we're still up.
The world is going to try to prepare for
it didn't dump back down to 64K.
Remonetized to a certain extent. Well, that would be to the advantage of our adversaries. And if we shift to digital gold, well, I think we can.
Yeah, Skylit. I mean,
David, we're talking about the expanding of the dominance of
we've
the dollar
been waiting
through
for
Bitcoin,
Cardano.
This policy proposal.
How do I explain the policy?
Is this next upgrade, the chain hard fork, whatever it's called, is that really going to make a difference?
Predicated on our control of the financial system and the current monetary order.
We'll see.
I think what President Trump and what Senator Lummis did today was make sure that the country has a plan B. Having a
but yeah, it was a big move up over the past few days as well for ADA. It was beaten down pretty far. 38 cents.
Numbers here, 21 million Bitcoin.
Yeah, but the effect is the same, right? Which is to say that if America continues to be,
but Doge touched 12.
Well, great, we
came all the way up to 13.8.
Basically, if that doesn't happen, this
performing as well
ensures that America stays on top, and I think Americans all over the world should feel better knowing that there's an orange parachute for them if they need it.
Can I make a quick comment? Yeah, so I think the idea of strong dollar, weak dollar, it gets really complicated. Trump's campaigning on weak dollar. He's talking about the exports, like his general campaign. He wants to strengthen exports by weak dollar. He's going to lower taxes. He's going to focus on growth. So I think that narrative can sometimes be convoluted. I think the main point is what every politician campaigning at this conference wants is if you're going to ask other nations to buy your debt. Right now, we're going through the worst bond market since the mid-1800s. all of our bank deposits are in that market. That's why our bank deposits aren't there. This government wants strong.
We wanted a special guest.
That's what Jerome Powell's job is: keep an orderly market in treasuries. Make sure these people don't dump their treasuries. How do you instill confidence in people to buy American debt? You back it with hard assets. That's what I think this is about.
Flipping the script a little bit here, the biggest applause point for Donald's speech, quote, day one promising to fire Gary Gensler. So much applause. He said it twice. Maybe for the people at home, why was there such a widespread embrace of this statement? Matt, we'll send it over to you.
Well, I think it's no secret that Gary has been quite hostile to the broader industry, and I think there's a sort of resentment that's been built up, and so to have someone with his stature just kind of recognize that, I think, and Donald feeds on the applause line. So I think that was my overall take, is that Donald's kind of experimenting each of these lines, and I think the crowd giving that reaction reinforces it over time, and I think that's a key kind of takeaway.
Well, many Bitcoiners support Gary Gensler and what he's done to at least the alternative cryptocurrency market, holding the line that they're securities. Why is Gary Gensler not more popular, David?
Well, I mean, I think the critical insight that a lot of Bitcoiners miss is that this is ultimately a sort of cypherpunk movement. You can have your own normative moral judgments about cryptocurrencies or crypto technology, whatever it is. But I think if you are a cypherpunk, you want the market to resolve these issues, not just some guy in a suit in an office somewhere.
Winding down here, of course, before we go on to our next guest, guys, quickly, bullish or bearish for Bitcoin this speech? How are you feeling?
I think it's pretty bullish.
Everything's bullish for Bitcoin.
Well, on the Saylor scale of double, triple, quadruple, maxi, maybe we can re-rank this speech.
Say somewhere between triple and quadruple.
You heard it from David Zell. Triple, quadruple, maxi speech from Donald Trump. We'll be right back after these messages with some more great speakers. Still more to come. Bitcoin 2024, the grand finale, moments away.
Well, I'm not waiting around for some special guest or non-special guest. And if we miss it, we miss it. But we did the main thing. We got through the Trump speech and the proposed legislation, which is good for crypto, price action up and down. But overall, yeah, as Serena says, look, crypto will rise in price. We know that. It's like this fall is going to be very bullish for crypto. I'm anticipating big gains. So for those that haven't watched any of my live streams before, I'll be live Monday, 4:00 p.m. East Coast time. Will be my next live stream. So we'll catch up on the rest of the Bitcoin conference, what's going on with Doge, and everything else going on with crypto as well. I hope you enjoyed the special Saturday live stream with President Donald Trump's speech and his words about crypto and Bitcoin. So I hope the rest of you have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll see you next time.
Dogecoin, which started as a complete joke, Dogecoin, which started as a complete joke, not a joke anymore. It hit an all-time high of almost 10 cents yesterday, but it was so minuscule you wouldn't have understood why you have millions of shares.
Didn't Elon tweet that too?
And arguably, the most entertaining outcome and the most ironic outcome would be that Dogecoin becomes the currency of Earth in the future.